AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
And welcome everybody to our Saturday show. There's people joining us already. Outcast is out there. Pack Rat, welcome. If you're out there live, that's why we do the show live. We value the live conversation, the live back and forth with everybody, and feel free to be part of the show. Tony joins us each week from New Jersey. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, no problem, man.
So we were kind of talking off here. I'm going to finish that just so that, because y'all know what we were talking about, right? Obviously. So Tony and I were talking about a conversation that happened with Walk the Talk America this week with Kinesium. It's the Kini is a I'm gonna call it a motion sensor security device because you could use it for lots of things, but it's a motion sensor. So I'm guessing that it's the technology that's in like a video game controller. You know how the controllers know if you're moving it left or right or wiggling it, like the Wii controller and all that. I think it's like that, where in other words, it doesn't need GPS. It's not like a cellular thing or like a Wi-Fi thing that uses some sort of an outside signal that it references to know if it's moving. I think it's more like the electronic version of Mercury switches. Like it knows it's moving because something inside of it has a sensor that knows that it's moving. And I think the big difference there is, let's say you got something from the cell signal or something from even Wi-Fi, but something from the internet, let's say, that was tracking or GPSing your security device, like one of those Apple chips or whatever they're called. That's a little different because the planet knows where that is. Like the reason that chip is secure is because it's locked into this like big global platform and security thing. The Kini is different, and it's more of a privacy difference, right? Like it's different because it can tell you through your smartphone or through your text, I guess it's not really smartphone, but your text, that the device moved and when, but it can't tell you where on the planet that device is, like where in your house it is, right? It can't tell you, it doesn't have a microphone or a camera like a security camera would, right? A security camera literally has a microphone and a camera on it that's and a motion sensor that's looking for movement and then turns on the camera, or at least starts recording the camera, which is way more invasive privacy wise. And I think that's kind of cool. Packard's saying like a gyroscope. Yeah, exactly. Like just some sort of a thing inside that senses inertia. So it can tell, like if you just tap it, you can adjust the sensitivity, but if you have it really sensitive, you can just tap it. So imagine like you set down your lunch in the refrigerator at work. And I don't know if this is too frivolous. I asked him if this is making too light of it because it's for serious stuff, but I think this applies. Like you could put that little thing in there. If somebody moved your lunch, you'd get a text like pretty much immediately, and you could run in there and go, who's messing with my lunch, right? So it's that kind of thing. You could put it in a drawer and you can set it to know, let's say if the drawer opens, you can have it tell you. Or if you have it in a box in the drawer, you can tell it, don't worry about the drawer opening. Don't worry about left and right motion or whatever. Just worry about if it gets picked up. If somebody takes this box out of the drawer, now it matters and now I want to be alerted. So it's kind of cool. You can adjust it in that way. But again, it's not a camera. It's not recording everything you're doing. It doesn't know where it is on planet Earth. So you can use it for like your business, right? Like I want this to be in my safe. Well, it's nobody's business where your safe is, but you know that if somebody opens the door of your safe, you've got this thing on the door. As soon as it moves, it tells you. And I just think that's super cool. Like there's so many ways you can use that. I was saying like, you could use that if you had like a kid, you're going on the typical, your parents are going on a weekend trip. So you put that on the door of the liquor cabinet, when your teenage kids are home. We trust you, but we also want to know if the liquor cabinet gets open. We don't trust your friends, one of those kind of things, right? Anyway, I just think that's cool. Yeah. And they're a couple, I think they're out of New York. They were on with Walk Talk America this week. So I was just telling Tony, told him like, I'll tell you all this when I'm on air, since I didn't feel like saying it all twice, right? But I just kind of stoked about that product. We're going to see them at SHOT Show, I suppose. But I think it's a neat thing. It's not new. It's a couple years old now, but it's fairly new to the scene. And I like that it's privacy-wise, it's tight. Like I really like that it's useful without being intrusive. Like it has some privacy issue, I suppose, if you think about it. Like you are using the technology of whatever Wi-Fi, because it's gonna connect to, what does it connect to? It connects to Wi-Fi and then travels to them. They send you a text. So it does need some Wi-Fi, but it's not doing any of the stuff, echolocation or any of the goofy stuff that Wi-Fi can do. And that's the only thing it could even touch, since, like I said, it's a smart device, but it doesn't have all those sensors in it that would be intrusive for privacy. And I like that. I think it's neat. It's thinking forward, and it's creating a device with a year-long battery life. I don't know if I mentioned that. You charge it and it lasts for a year. Nice. So it's truly the kind of thing you can go, I'm going to set this on my valuable paperwork inside the safe, right? Or, like an important gun, like, a family gun or something. I don't care if you go in the safe to grab your guns, but don't touch this one. This one's got the thing setting on it. I'm going to know if you touch it, type of thing. And you can tell people or you can not, and it's got some ways you can set it to like have a light go off or not. But anyway, it's got a cool product, and I was just chatting with them kind of right before the show here. So that's how we started the show this week. Anything new coming up? Not really any news this week, really. It's pretty what do they say? Eventful week, but maybe we can think of something to talk about.
Yeah, maybe we can think of something to talk about, because I don't want to talk about the thing everybody's talking about. I'm tired of it. And actually, that's what the show is going to be about tonight. So, what is it?
Oh, really?
Unfiltered.
Yep.
Yeah, because our co-host, his wife is a Minneapolis police officer. So, we're going to be talking about that tonight. But we can. What else happened? A lot actually happened, I guess. But everybody wants to talk about this one thing, and it's starting to annoy me.
My thing is that it's what's the word? Like it is. I think it's. I can't think of that word now, but it's. I don't want to say forcing. It's like it's indoctrinating. I don't know if that's the right word. That's the word that comes to mind. It's creating this, like, it's, I don't want to say forcing, but I'm going to say indoctrinating people to react immediately. And there's nothing new. It's not like I've come up with this, but it's definitely yet another illustration of let's all react immediately. And then when the facts come to light, whatever they may be, obviously, who cares what the facts? I'm not saying who cares, but in this, because this happens over and over and over, what I'm talking about is the repetitive nature of this attack on our senses or whatever, as a community, that they'll throw all this at us. We're all in, we heard about it. It happened. We got done like 5 minutes ago. Pick your poison. Which other immediate important breaking news just got done, and now this happened because it happened, right? So obviously nobody planned it, but it happened. So it breaks all news cycles. Obviously, no one goes, the other news cycles must not have been that important because they braked it for this, right? Whether or not this is the most important thing or not, like the other ones aren't, right? Because this now is the one thing they're talking about. But because of this, like, we have to react to it. And everyone's comfortable, or like at least satisfied with the like dynamic now of like, we're reacting. Either I've been told to, or I watched people react this way and I believe them, or I like the way they are, so I'm going to react their way. But like, you know what I mean? Like, none of us have any facts at all on anything that ever happens. I'm not just talking about this, but like anything that's going on, even Venezuela, like you name it, we don't have facts on it. We have reporting from biased reporters on both sides, and we choose to listen to, and we are told, some fraction of the actual story, but yet, everyone's very, well, I don't say like we're indoctrinated to, like we're kind of assumed that we're going to, and it's okay that we do immediately react and then hold it against the other side because they didn't react the way we liked, or they did. And then, like I say, the worst part of maybe is that 6 months later, when the whatever comes to light, or 6 years later, even when it comes to light, we've just been so numb to it. So many other things have happened since then. There's just no way for that, like, what do you call that? Like the editorial, like, apology or whatever, the name for that bullshit was. But like, there's no, there's no, what's the word? It's just not a part of our culture to go, oh, you know what? I acknowledge that I was wrong on this. We don't do that. We don't have any honor in that, and there should be, because I think there is. But anyway, that's the part that frustrates me, is that yet again, here we go. We have to start reacting. Like, imagine the same frustration you're seeing.
Oh yeah, and that's gonna be my point of view tonight. It's like, the point of it wasn't right or wrong or even to have an educated opinion. It was to be outraged and divisive. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. There's a bunch of ways you could have told this story, handled this story, presented this story, spread this story, and I'm watching it go sideways. And I'm like, there's a lot of things way bigger than this, but no one's willing to do it or pay attention or do the long form thinking of the entire situation. It's just be mad at this thing. All right, because 2 days from now, if this peters out or if something else we can choose to be more divisive happens, we're going to point to that and totally forget about this, like completely. But you know what'll be left over? The feelings of how you feel about the other side. You won't even
Yes.
remember what they were wrong about. You'll just remember they were always wrong. Always wrong.
This
Nothing right.
reinforced that you're right and how wrong they are yet again.
And everything and all things in every aspect. And I'm like, wow, this is really easy to do. And I don't feel I'm special at all. I don't even
No.
feel I'm not smart. But what I've done is I've removed myself from the news cycle. I don't watch the news. I don't watch television news. I don't read the paper. I concentrate on Second Amendment type things. I've narrowed my interest down to firearms and firearms related stuff, right? And I feel there's two ways that I can Dunning Kruger effect, that I just don't know what I don't know, and I'm not that bright. Or I look at myself as I've pulled back and I've noticed things since I don't have to get bombarded with everything. I'm noticing patterns and shifts and things that if you're involved day to day, you won't see. And I'm like, yeah, I've stepped out of that thing. And what I see is every news story somehow has two sides, and either you with this extreme or you with the other extreme. And you stop taking in facts and you stop thinking about the bigger picture and you just want to be angry about this thing now loudly, and you don't do anything to change the situation, make it better or stop it from happening. You're just outraged, waiting for the next outrage, then you're outraged. And I'm like, well, what if you did to change the other 10 things you cared about, put a flag up about, made a post about? Like, have you done anything to improve it? Or are you just going to be angry about the next thing? That's why I posted on X. I was like, I didn't know so many people were experts in so many different things because I only focused on the Second Amendment. I was like, but since the beginning of the year, I found out that people know about Somali immigration patterns. They know about how to open and run a daycare center. They learned about corruption in Minnesota. They know about Venezuela and like their internal politics and how their succession worked from president to vice president. They know about oil and ghost ships. It's like their expertise is boundless.
Hmm.
I'm like, how about figuring out you're just getting a story from your side, whoever side that is, because I don't give a damn, and you're running whole hog with it, and you will never bother watching the news from the other side to see what your, I guess, political opponents are seeing, because maybe they're showing them something 180 degrees different than you or saying it a certain way. Um, and that's why they have their opinion, not because they hate America and everything it stands for, but because they're being told something else and they spent the last decade hearing the other side or even their entire lives hearing the other side. That's what's annoying to me. It's like, bro, take a second and realize everyone doesn't see things from your perspective intentionally. They're intentionally being shown stuff the other way.
Well,
That's
and
how I feel.
I'll throw in there, they're allowed to. And if you're convinced that you're correct, then give them some grace, I guess, to to understand that if they are being manipulated, then it's not their fucking fault. So there's no reason to be mad at them, right? I think
Yeah.
there's got to be some way to
So yesterday,
re-message so that it's not like we disagree, I hate you, to like we disagree, let's find out why.
yeah, we disagree. Let's come up with. So to yes, day before was Thursday. Thursday, I tried to have a conversation with someone at work I rarely talk to, but we work in the same department, and we're just walking in, and I was like, "Hey, did you hear that President Trump is talking about if your house is paid off and you're over 65, you don't have to pay property tax?" Now, I wanted to actually
Oh
have a
snap!
conversation about, yeah, exactly. I wanted to have a conversation about, is that something the president can even do? Because I thought property tax was a state thing. And, I just wanted to have a conversation, a thought. What is it? A thought experiment. Like, how does this work? How would this work? Um, because in New Jersey, they tell us the property tax pays for the school system. But I'm like, if I'm 65 and I'm living on a fixed income, but you can raise property tax whatever you want. There's no limit, by the way. They can rate in New Jersey. They can raise property tax freaking 25% from the year before.
I think that's
I'm like,
everywhere.
how is
Just
it?
that some places really lean into that,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah. New Jersey does all the time. And I'm like, bro, that's unfair. And if they can change that, that'll be awesome. That's where I wanted the conversation to go about just that. This guy fell off the deep end talking about Trump's a liar. Everything he says is a lie. He never does anything he says he's going to do. He's just a liar. Never trust anything this liar says. He's horrible. He sucks. He's just a piece of crap. And I was like, okay, cool. Hey, look, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm just talking about this particular. No, he's a liar. He never does anything. He never followed through. He's never followed through. Everything he told is a lie. I was like, well, he told Maduro he's going to come and get him, and he got him. I mean, that's one of the things he said and followed through on, right? What's that got to do with property tax? I don't know, dude. You the one that jumped off the deep end. I was like, how far down the field did you want to run with the goalpost? I was like, you said he didn't do anything. I told you a thing he did, and now you're upset. Well, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I was like, yeah, but you're still one of those people that can't have a conversation if someone says the word Trump. And that was the end of our conversation. I was like, oh well. I'm like, bro, I'm not even talking about being a fan. I'm just talking about how great it would be to buy a house and actually own it.
I just think that's a neat idea too. Because honestly, it's not. I doubt that it's the old people's houses that are banking the whole system. Is that the way I say it? Like that are supporting the whole system. You know what I mean? Like that's probably some percentage, obviously, but I doubt it's even a big percentage. And to let them have that breather or whatever, because the thing is, the property taxes are still going to go up on the property, and when the person passes, it still has a value, and now it can sort of come back into the mix or whatever, right? It's not like you're saying, and that's the thing. I don't get the people that are like, there shouldn't be property tax. It's like, okay, then where the fire department's going to get paid from with like good wishes and shit. Like, do you not want a fire department? Do you not want some of the weird semi-communist shit we have? Like, that's what property taxes are for. And if you want to be part of a community that, you can move out of the community, right? You can move to a rural area that's what do they call it when you're not in the county or whatever?
Non-incorporated.
Non-incorporated, right? And you can do whatever you want out there. And there's probably very low, if there's any property tax. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see that big issue with property tax, honestly. I don't, so that's why I don't get some of the people that don't seem to realistically understand how like 1 million people live in a small area together. But on the other side of it, defaulting to everything to the government is ridiculous when there's lots and lots and lots of what's the word, like examples of successful ways that people have worked together in other, well, I guess in no ways to govern, but not necessarily with like a massive bureaucracy. Anyway, I think we got off topic there a little bit, but one of the things that you were mentioning there, I didn't want to interrupt as you were saying it, but I wonder, and I've just noticed this a little bit incrementally getting changing, and this is kind of just a change in taste maybe, or like, the way that and maybe it wasn't intentional, in other words, maybe it's just the way that it happened. But back in the day, it seems like you'd have like a science person on the news team, and then there'd be like a very few number of experts. And I don't know if because there was fewer experts that would want to be on TV back in the day, or that, why that was. But now it seems like there's no consistency except for some famous figureheads. They can bring anybody on and go, this is an expert in whatever it is we're talking about. And okay, we're supposed to believe it. And now, it's Dr. So-and-so from blah, 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 or Professor such and such from blah, blah, blah. And, okay, we'll take it for the conversation that they know what they're talking about. And there's, but how do we know that Professor blah, blah, blah doesn't have some dumbass bias and refuses to tell us about the other side of the issue? And obviously the news crew could have picked him because of that bias and that ability to just ignore the other side. You know what I mean? So it just gets to be where if both sides don't use the same experts and you use an expert every time, that rotating expert, I'm wondering if that's an element that, it's really difficult to know who to trust when the people you're showed to trust are different every time. And the people that
So
are the intermediaries, like the people who like voice the news, are idiots. And why would you trust an idiot who's just like, a puppet, basically, the figurehead or
yeah,
whatever?
he's talking. He or she is just a figurehead that reads a teleprompter for the most part. But they call them journalists. They can speak well and read a cue card. And I'm like, hey, one, don't even trust your media head because they were already proven to be on the payroll of the CIA back in the day to deliver news. We already know that. You can look that up. No one went to prison for manipulating the American public with information like that. Matter of fact, it was again made legal in 2013 under the Obama administration. So, and if you go, oh, is that Obama? Well, again, Trump didn't change it and make it illegal or put forth to make it illegal when he got in the first term or the second term. So you could still be propagandized by your own news media, and no one's trying to put a stop to it. So there you start off there. They can lie to you. Two, who the frig is the expert? He's a professor. Well, there's a crap load of freaking colleges in this country, colleges and schools. Who says he doesn't suck as a professor? Who doesn't say he's totally biased and what he says is just bullcrap and not even the truth? If he can say it, wearing a tweed coat and a bow tie, all of a sudden he has some kind of expertise because they presented him as such. And then his word holds up as well as somebody who's actually good at that job and is unbiased and actually did work and then just presents you with the unbiased results. No, they hold the same thing. And then, of course, when it comes to debate, if anybody even has someone that gives a different point of view, which doesn't really happen, they're outnumbered, talked down, talked over. And again, the idiots at the table are given the same level of respect and acknowledgement as someone who's an actual expert, studied it, and has come to unbiased conclusion based on facts.
Yeah, and I'll just add that whenever, very rarely, when you do see some kind of a panel, and it's almost always just like a one-on-one, like you're saying, like it's rarely like there's that one show that there's like three people and three people or four people and four people, but mostly it's like the one, like we have the person from the right, essentially, because it's always the left that we're worried about. And it must be happening the other way that we just don't care because we don't care if the other side is misunderstood, I guess. But whatever, we just don't, I don't know of any right side shows where a left person comes on. There must be one in the politics, but I'm not familiar of it in the gun area. But anyway, what I'm getting at is whenever it is a panel, they'll say issue, and then it'll be like perspective. Oh, okay, alternate perspective. Okay, let's move on. So there's no like depth,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no like,
Nope.
oh, okay, two perspectives. Let's go back and forth, because there's almost always, at least with somebody who's good at what's the word, like presenting their position to a group who doesn't always agree, like there's going to be a way for them to, like, I don't know, like, say something that's going to sound like, oh my goodness, did he just say that? Yeah, because you're just not used to hearing it, but let me explain. And there, I'm being factual, I'm being honest, and this is this is how you back that up. And they can't, if you don't let the person explain on either side, then what you end up with is just that, like, that initial, oh, I can't believe they said that, and then you move on, and it's like that's what it's left with, and that's engineered. I don't believe that that's accidental. I think that that's
Mm-hmm.
for ratings, but it's also in the long run, it keeps that rift, it keeps that that unawareness, or whatever the word is, like the ignorance, I guess is the best word, on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they need.
Yep.
At least that's what they feed on.
They
They
feed off
being
the
like the media
divisiveness.
or
They
the
don't.
politicians, they both need the ratings, which is essentially what that creates, the
Yep.
rift.
There is. I'm sure you can go somewhere and watch it, but it's as if gonna make some people mad. Um, it seems the ones that pay the most, right, are networks and people that push the divisive agenda. That's who pays the most, even in the quality of programming they put out, how they do the set, how they dress, how the lighting, how it's presented, is always the people with the deeper wallets, and the deeper wallets want results, right? They want ratings, so they go for the easy things, the divisiveness, the bickering, and the shallow. But when you get in depth and when you can have actually quality debates and quality in depth look at something, like the quality of everything falls right off. And it's like, why is that? I'm like, man, it's like music production. You know what do you call it? I don't know what secular music is. It's like when the music world, when you're listening to music, it's like all the songs that hit the radio or can sell the most are the ones that get the great producers and the great exploitations being put out there so you can hear it. Meanwhile, Christian rock, you know what I mean? It's like, what? Yeah, it's like no one, there's
Yeah,
no
it
Eddie
could
Van
be
Halen of
the
Christian rock.
most amazing, intricate, complicated arrangements, right? Like amazing lyrics, but no one would ever know because it's not getting that artificial awareness or push.
Hmm.
Yeah, promotion.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it, but like you're not getting anybody that thinks. Um, if you want to, you can look it up. And that's also something annoying because you can't be as passionate about every damn thing. And look, I love people. I really do. But I go on X and even my friends have a different opinion on everything that's in the headline every day. And I know what they're doing. They're doing it for, I mean, either just to be online and have an opinion and find a place where you can. I mean, it is the tavern of yesteryear, right? Where you can go and news comes out and everybody can have an opinion on it and have that conversation. So I get that, but some of it I definitely know is to do it to get engagement, and Maj is one of them. Maj goes on and does stuff for the engagement because he's promoting what he does, and the more eyeballs on it, the better, whether it's divisive or not. It gets the numbers out there. But I'm looking at my post and it's like Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. That's it. This is all I'm focused on. My channel will not blow up because this is all I'm going to talk about. And I'm not even an expert at it. I'm passionate about it, but I'm not an expert. And I just put that out. And also, there's no reason to be divisive. You don't need to hear my every opinion on everything because it could change with more information I get. And now all of a sudden, you got my back because I said this thing about something you're passionate about. And then if I change my position or take a nuanced, reposition myself because of a nuance, all of a sudden I'm not your dude anymore and F you and I'm unfollowing. Like,
I tried to explore that a little bit a while back, like I think it was middle of last year, when I kind of became aware of that sort of, I think what you're talking about, like I'm gonna call it that phenomenon. And I looked it up and used the robots a little bit, and it was called, if it's the same thing I'm thinking of, parasocial relationship or something like that. And it's the
mhm.
concept that like Elvis, I think, is a good example, or the Beatles or something like that, where all these people had this like one-way relationship with the star, with the superstar, essentially. And you fill in the blank with any superstar, but those are just giant examples. Or Michael Jackson, like like internationally world famous. And at that level, can you imagine the individual like just understanding that that's happening in the planet Earth? You know what I mean? Like, so them, just there's I don't think there's any possible way. It's just like being a millionaire, a billionaire. Like, you know what I mean? There is no rational way to deal with that. Everybody's going to deal with it in some weird way. It's such a unique thing that, you know what I mean? There is no norm. So we know on their side, it's just going to be whatever random set of, chemicals are in their body or like life circumstances they've happened that like they're going to spin off and do, right? Sometimes they're good and sometimes they wreck, right? But that being said, like, who cares? We all watch that, but everybody else on the other side, there's very little focus on that. And like I say, I kind of looked at that because it was driving me nuts in a couple of different ways at different scale, right? So I'm talking like Elvis and the Beatles and Michael Jackson, right? Now scale that down to somebody on YouTube and the relationship that we as an audience or people as viewers have with the, let's say, what's the word? Influencer or content creator or whatever you want to say, YouTuber or, internet star. And, fill in the blank with TikTok and with the other platforms. It really doesn't matter, but it's a little bit different. It gets more like teeny bopper, I think, when you get to TikTok, because it's a little less, more frivolous, I guess, a little less serious. When you get over here and it's more like a news relationship, or like a relationship of you're giving me data that's serious and important. It's gun data, it's defense data, it's rights data, right? Like they're out to get our rights. Like we have to defend our rights, and this is super serious. And people fucking play off of that. And I've raged against that for a while. As soon as I figured out that people were leaning into that dynamic, and I didn't know what to call it at the time, but that concept of fame and influence, I don't know what else words to use. But once I figured out that some people out there were I don't know if they figured it out and started doing it, but once they had that influence, the way that they used it, I was like, ooh, like this is something to be careful of, right? This is something to be aware of. That it might sneak up on you, or it might be something that's inadvertent, but it pretty much seems to, not universally, but very much affect a lot of the people that get to that level, and with their audiences. And what good is an audience, or what are the dynamics? I don't say good or bad, because who cares if it's good or bad? It's up to the person. But like, what are the dynamics of an audience that's just going to do what you say? And I don't know if we kind of get off on topic tangents here, but some of the examples that I saw were audiences or viewers of people I knew doing things in the name of, or because it's necessary because of. And again, I didn't have the way to explain it, but it was starting to creep me out back in the day. And we're, I'm talking small levels, but you get to different size or scale, and you get to the kind of shit that happened with Kirk, right? And with other cults and of personality. I don't say cults like cults, but like cults of personality or cults of society or whatever this is. Anyway, I think there's something to that. And I'm not saying that there should be any kind of regulation, just awareness made to the concept that, like, when we created this internet, and then the internet created content creators, influencers, I'm going to say micro influencers, whatever the word is, for like people who have hundreds or dozens or thousands or less than superstar status numbers of people that pay attention to what they're doing. Like that becomes a relationship, and on both sides it can be I don't say dangerous, it can be an issue, right? Because it can sometimes be amazing. Like I've seen some fundraising and shit happen, and like people care about each other and help each other. Like I don't want to say it's a bad thing, because it's not, but it can be a negative thing, right? It can be used poorly, and it can be used negatively. Anyway, I think that's an issue, and or an aspect of all this, or whatever, that I guess what I'm bitching about is that we don't understand it, and it isn't addressed, and the people that probably use it the most, like are aware of it and are using it the most, will never fucking talk about it, because they're fucking using it, they're exploiting it. When I talk about the exploiters, that's essentially what I'm alluding to, is the people that figure out there's some ways you can manipulate and mess with large groups of people with this technology we've got real easily. And like I say, I don't think they're always out to do it, but once they've got in there, once you're making a couple of extra, pick the person and pick the number, but tens of thousands of dollars a month, fives of thousands of dollars a month, 20s of thousands of dollars a month, everybody's, I don't want to say sells out, but everybody changes their actions at a certain payment, right? And it's not like YouTube goes, we can make this guy anti-gun if we do this. But at some point, when you're making $30,000 a month to play with guns instead of talk about rights, you're never going to talk about rights again, because you're never going to mess with that $30,000 a month. You're desperately trying to turn that into $60,000 a month, because when you're hanging out with people making 30, right, you're looking at the person making 60 and saying, what are they doing? Oh, they're shooting frying pans. Let me get some frying pans. What can I shoot? Let me get some iPhones. Oh, we'll never talk about rights. Rights are for the boring channels. Anyway, I went off on about six different tangents.
No, you're right. I mean, it does come down to what pays. And I don't do this because it pays. So, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm in it for the long broke haul. I'm willing to sell out, but I'm not willing to sell out and not still advocate in some way.
There's not really a way to sell out in the gun community unless you're not, we all know, you can't do anything serious in the gun community. And you can sell, you can try to sell out, it's just that you won't find anybody to pay you unless you're doing something silly.
Yeah.
Something distracting.
I mean, it really does come. It really does come to that, doesn't it?
But not only at the moment, and I don't think it has to stay that way. For a minute there, if let's say the NRA would have just completely imploded or fell apart or been destroyed or something, like if a different result would have happened, and for the clarity, what we're seeing now is the new board of the NRA essentially changing it from within and restructuring it. So everybody that hates the NRA and made a bunch of money hating the NRA is basically just shutting up. And all the people that wanted to, the antis that wanted to see the NRA destroyed, they're basically shutting up because they're scared of it, what's going to happen. But, just for clarity, but whatever. Assuming that didn't happen, and so one of the other negative, horrible outcomes would have happened with the NRA, what would have happened? You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't have been like, oh, shucks, I guess we shouldn't have guns no more. You know what I mean? Like, something large would have happened. I mean, it could have been GOA getting really large, but I could see something else happening. You know what I mean? Like Trump's kid or something, like out of nowhere, some other Ted Nugent or some shit comes along and, you know what I mean? Like creates a thing and everybody jumps on board and all of a sudden there's something 3 times. When you have something that's 10 times the size of GOA and it falls apart, if it fell apart completely, that's a lot of money to be laying around. So it would have been very easy for something a quarter of its size to happen, in the fall of the big thing, and that thing to dwarf the GOA still. You know what I mean? So like we could have had, something weird or, some odd result happen. I don't know why I'm saying all this. I guess, we definitely we're not going to have is like some well-structured, like well thought out think tank of like, I don't even want to say lawyers because I think we have a lot of lawyers on the scene and everybody can tell me if we're better off or not. I think we're more informed, but I don't see the lawyers efforting to use their lawyer powers to make us better off. Sorry. Not sorry. Like that's just the way it is. But let's say we had industry. We don't have that big an industry. I've tried to do some reports on that. Like our industry is okay, but we're like medium industry. So we don't have any superstars of industry that can just come along and Elon Musk our way out of this shit.
Nope.
So, but we do have enough like Magpul, Brownells people, right? We do have some heavy hitters. And if they got together and said, we're kind of sick of the status quo, let's make us super friends. Let's pick this guy, her, that guy, whoever this kid is, and that old guy. Put them together and give them about $5 million a year and see what comes up. Why isn't that happening? So, you know what I mean? Like we can have other shit happen. So that's all I'm throwing out there. I'm not bitching. I'm just saying, like, we have what we have with the NRA. If we wouldn't have had with the NRA, I guess is where I was going, is that we could have had something like that happen, right? In the void of an NRA without 250 to 300, 500 on a good year, $250 million on average going to the NRA, that would have gone somewhere. And I could have easily seen some people getting together and throw $5 million at 5 people so that they don't have to do nothing but this and do it fucking good. If somebody would have said in 2019, I'm just going to say it this way. In 2019 at that rally, if the industry, and I don't want to say, let's say 10 people in the industry threw in $500,000 so that there was now $5 million in play. And let's say, I don't know how much people fucking make. I'm assuming $1 million is enough for everyone to go, yeah, I'm done with my 9 to 5. Let's get some 2A work done. So they go to 5 people from that rally. And that's what I'm saying. I won't even have to pick who the 5 people are. Anybody can pick whoever 5 people they want out of there. But you pick 5 people out of there. And they had assholes like what's his face. They had YouTubers there. So people can pick losers if they want. But then there was hardcore people there, right? So if you pick any 5 people you want out of there, give them $1 million, and in 2019 set them down with like the super friends of 2A, like what would have happened then? You know what I mean? Like real work being done.
We would have had a lot going on. Oh yeah, it would have kicked off. December would have been dead. January would have been prepping, and February of 2020 would have hit like a freaking tsunami.
And God dang it, dude! If that would have actually happened at that timing, it would have happened right when the bullshit started happening, and everyone would have been like hunkered down to see the bullshit, and there would have been this shining example of amazing, awesome new thing happening. When all the podcasts took off, like that's when every podcast, we could have like a 2A podcast the size of Rogan. That's just like, can you imagine like Chris from, what the hell is Chris's last name, dude?
Which one?
Chris from California. Chang. Imagine if that dude was Joe Rogan. So he's doing a podcast, just bringing weird people on, doing his whatever, just super pro 2A in the, the background. Imagine that,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like everybody would have been like, wow, this podcast's amazing. Because can you imagine him doing a podcast? It would have been cool. Like a bit of super eclectic, I guess, the way, right? He'd have been bringing
Yeah, with
people in
him.
from all
Yeah,
over the
definitely.
place. And it'd probably been some
Yep.
like 3 type of thing where he's getting like, I'm going to bring 2 people in who've never met each other before. And we're going to have a conversation and then guns are going to be, you know, good. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
that would have been an amazing way for it to all come down. And all it would have taken is 10 cheap ass sons of bitch rich people to throw $5 million, $500 million in, I guess. Whatever that is, $500,000 in, whatever the math I just said was. But anyway,
Yep.
we're that close to doing it. It's just that we don't have like 5 Elon Musk that meet up at SHOT Show and say, shit, I listened to this guy's podcast one Saturday morning and they challenged me to do this because it's just money.
Yeah, because if you want, again, the funding behind it is what holds everything back. So you got the funding, boom, you got the people with the passion, and they go, yeah, bro, all you have to do is concentrate on this. Here's money. You've made it now. Like you're rich now, you know, enough that I don't have to worry about my bills. Um, Now I can launch into this full time. I can talk to whoever will come on the show. I don't have to worry about AdSense or selling the ads, at least initially, until it takes off. And then people will want to give me money to be a part of it. So that way it pays for itself. Mm, yeah, all that could have happened. And it would have been great because then the 2020 lockdowns would have happened and you'd have had someone actively pro gun and providing a space so these new people coming in can actually have somewhere to go that would have been advertised and pushed because you can do ads. You could be on shows. Hey, check out the new da 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 with Chris Chang, you know, Top Shot, da da da. And it's kind of hard to call Chris a Nazi. It's kind of hard to call Chris a Nazi and a white supremacist. You know, being gay and Asian and living in San Francisco, it's like, yeah. So good luck with that. And then, of course, he'd have everybody he knows on. I mean, look at the boards that he sets on. You know, from Walk the Talk America to Operation Blazing Sword. Like he's out there with the eclectic diversity that people talk about they want to see. He's actually doing it and have him on the show and actually highlight him again at a time where everybody was locked in the house looking for entertainment anyway. Well, most people were locked in the house. I was at work every day.
But that's exactly, I mean, again, what if 2020 hindsight always, but
Yeah,
imagine having an open forum for people to come in and have conversations where there's almost no option for getting together and having any kind of physical yelling at each other. So anyway, yeah, it was again, 2020 hindsight, no one knew at the time, otherwise somebody would have done something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was a conducive environment for progress. But I would say that I'm not gonna say it didn't happen, because it did. It just didn't happen in full speed, turbo speed, pointed exactly at the target I want, which is no NFA. Everybody understands guns and leaves us alone. But it got pretty close. I'm not acting like nothing happened.
It can start at any time. I mean, we can do this at any time. Someone can fund this and start it because there's always going to be the next. There's always going to be the next incident that happens that would be a great opportunity to have someone doing Pro 2A stuff that doesn't have to worry about funding.
Well, here's the other thing. Since we're on this topic, I'm going to stay with it for just a second. I don't want it to seem doom and gloom because things were different back in the day. We've already seen differences in the organization, the 3-letter organizations themselves. FPC isn't old enough to really have a change in regime yet, but Gunners America definitely has, and Second Amendment Foundation recently has. So, and NRA, of course, is having a major one. So we are going to see differences, and then the NRA having all that cash is not going to be wasting the cash that they had. So once they're more frugal, or whatever the word is for like smart about their money, I don't want to rule out that an understanding, frugal yet still rich, essentially, wealthy NRA ain't going to do some of the stuff we just said could have been done by a couple of 5 people, 10 people back in 2019, because that could 5 million bucks or whatever I just said is, again, nothing for an NRA budget. And if they said, we're going to have, the NRA effort at whatever non-traditional outreach, start picking people. I mean, we know a short list ourselves, but again, for NRA, if they did that 5 a year, every year we're going to pick 5 new people. Because once you give somebody $1 million and send them on their way, they're probably, unless they're idiots or like reckless with money like me, they're gonna figure out a way to continue going, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can make that $1 million grant and say, good luck, come back if you need it, but it's not like we're going to give you $1 million forever, but it's $1 million, like, go do something with it. And then if they just started doing that, just a little trickle, $5 million a year, 5 organizations, it'd be awesome if it was 10. So it's 50 million, but still, that's well, my opinion, it's a doable thing. I'm a little reckless with money though.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy because right now, diversity shoot, penny pinching. I make sure every dime I spend has something to do with the second is for everyone, growing the second is for everyone, allowing it to continue. Like everything I do, right? And it's like, hey man, what? Here's $1 million. It's like, what do you mean? What's you can do a bunch of things. Yeah, it's kind of that I can do so many things that you're kind of like frozen.
Yeah, you'd
Like
want to give somebody realistically, like, you'd want to give them $1 million and a coach, right? Like $1 million and somebody to talk to about it.
yeah, because I have I have $1,000 goals right now, right? Renew the insurance for the diversity shoot so we can host the ranges and not worry about if somebody freaking closes their finger in the slide. Me having to work for someone for the rest of my life. So we got insurance, we got the mailbox, we got taxes, we have this, and nothing's insurmountable with all of. Let me come up with a number. $10,000 right now would just go, oh my God, this is awesome. And I can get a lot of stuff and I wouldn't be overwhelmed, right? I can pay some fees, I can do some stuff, I'll have some money, we can set up some stuff. Hey, here's $1 million. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Um, because now the options are open. Like right now, diversity shoot, t-shirts. We're going to try to do that in 2026 and have actual. The problem is I want good stuff and I don't want it to fall apart and I want to be able to change it. I'm looking at Teespring and some other companies and we're going to launch it in February. Things I want to do for a while. Banners, have them so when we take pictures, I mean, just little goals, right? Banners. So when we take pictures at diversity shoots, something's in the picture that says 2A, 4E. And like if I had extra money, each range would have their, name and logo in the photo too, on the stand that I set up. Just unfurl it and we take the picture in front of that when everybody's in the photo. So I don't have to watermark it or tag it. And everybody else that takes pictures, there it is too in a classroom. Different things, little things. And it's like, cool. All right, here's a giant budget. Yeah, I need a coach. I need help. I need someone to walk me through how to do this and set up goals. It's like, throwing $100 bills out of freaking the window in the hood. It's like, yeah, it's going to improve what they buy tonight or today. But if they've never had this much money, they're going to need guidance on how to keep it, how to spend it, not be in a worse situation than they were before they got it. And that's what I see myself needing. So hopefully we get that in 2025. I got a good team of people around me. So we'll see.
All right. Well, we've got comments coming in that I've been tagging or whatever, but then I was going to try something new. Hold on. I've got this. I guess they're both Instagrams up on the screen. I got this one and a different one, but I figured they're kind of news of the week, but we could give some commentary on them. So do you want to do that first, or do you want to do the comments from people?
No, let's roll the comments while they're still here. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're pretty much both the same thing. Roll call, though, is asking, is there anything interesting you want to see it shot?
I haven't really looked. I mean, I talked to some people. I want to see the Glock Gen 6 just to see it. That's something for me. I want to check that out. Uh, One of the guys I know started his own thing. He's selling recoil reduction using magnets and AR-15s and firearms. I don't know if he has a company he's working with, but he's put it out, and a few people have actually reviewed it. It reduces recoil by using magnets instead of recoil springs, using rare earth magnets. I met him last year. I think that's pretty cool. But no one's hit me with a product that's like, oh my goodness, I have to go see that. Because many of the products out there are just evolutions of what came out before. And really, it's going to be 2011. Pistols, this is my opinion right now. 2011 pistols from every manufacturer you can think of, um, semi automatic Turkish shotguns. That's what I'm seeing right now. I'm even looking at the emails that I'm getting from different companies that shot, and nobody's blowing me away by any of the emails. You know what I mean? Like, our exciting new, yeah, whatever, bro. It's just another what you had last year, because I get those. You do too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think
I'm seeing.
well, you get like as media, we're on some list. So then anybody that wants
Hmm.
to tag like all media, I'm sure we get some press releases there. But then when you walk around with your badge, there's like a barcode on it, and a lot half time, well, not half time. Sometimes when you're talking to somebody, they'll go, "Hey, let me scan your badge," and then I'm pretty sure from the rest of the time you're getting emails from them, right? And then
Hmm.
our badges have a chip or some shit in it, and I wouldn't even be surprised if like somebody's paying for some kind of chirp or some kind of sniffer that when we walk past we're getting emails from them for the rest of the time. Or like if you stand more than 30 seconds in front of one of their signs somewhere, you know what I mean? Like who knows how they're doing that. So yeah, we get a lot of that stuff. My answer is what I want to see it shot this year. I always like to see the show this year 21, and I've enjoyed looking at the show since about 2009. So I started going in 5, and after seeing it kind of go back and forth to Florida for the first couple of years, so it would be like, well, it used to bounce all over the place, but when it stopped bouncing, it went back and forth between Florida and Vegas. But it was the old convention center. So it would go, at least for me, it was like old convention center, Florida, old convention center, Florida, new convention center, something like that. So it felt like it was bouncing around a little more than it was, because it kept bouncing around in Vegas to where it finally has been now for, I don't even know, like the rest of the time it's been in the same place, which is super boring. At least that place has gotten bigger. But anyway, because
Hmm.
of, I don't know, I guess I got disillusioned. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been disillusioned by being aware of stuff, just like anything, right? Like, oh wow, this is amazing, and then you see how the sausage is made, and you're like, I don't like hot dogs anymore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I used to like this, and now I don't like it. Or just, like, oh, this is amazing, and then you find out, like, oh, that takes a little old lady like 48 hours to make. Like, I liked it when my grandma made it, but I don't like it as much when I think about that little old lady having to spend 48 hours doing this. So anyway, so there's some things that you just don't, once you get behind them, you go, okay, that's a little bit different. It's not what I wanted to do, or it's not the same as what I thought. And that's, I can't even, I don't want to shit on it, but because I mean, there's just as many things that are awesome. Like me, I'm not acting like it's all bad or nothing. But anyway, there's enough stuff that at SHOT Show that made me go, there's more here than just looking at the guns. And then there's also the turnover. We've talked about that a million times. There's like this rotation or whatever. So you think about a content creators go into SHOT Show as long as me, there's like 5, right? And not that many, and none
Hmm.
of them are huge. It's like Milspec Monkey,
Hmm.
Military Moron, and Gun Blast. Nobody else. Well, there's one other guy, and I can never remember everybody's name, but these are guys that write for like military guys that are like bloggers. They don't have any interest in making money other than sharing cool stuff with people that aren't going to see. No one's going to show them that cool stuff, because regular people don't look at cool stuff. They look at whatever's brand name or whatever. So anyway, there's a couple of people that have been doing this long, and everybody else has got some kind of lifespan, right? And a couple of people have had a pretty long lifespan. But most people, it's like I show up at SHOT Show, I go for a year or 2, maybe 3, and then that's it. Because whatever, I fill in the blank. There's a million reasons why you just don't keep going. So because of that, I started figuring out that most people don't have time to look at the show. They're only looking at the stuff. Either, they're jumping in the water, they're treading water, they're swimming, or they're deciding if they're going to keep swimming. But they never have time to talk about the pool. They never have time to talk about the locker room. They never talk about what it's like to stand in line waiting to jump in the pool. And that's where I was like, nobody cares about this. Like, it's not like I had like swarms of people going, thank you, we give a shit about this. I just thought it was interesting. And I'm like, I can't be the only person, so I'm going to start documenting the show. So anyway, that's a long enough story of me saying the show was always the most interesting thing to me. And not as though like I'm so good as to, I don't know, count everything or do some procedure that somehow I can compare the show every year. All I do is go to the show and walk around. And then if somebody asks me, I'll tell them my opinion. But I can tell you from 2008, which was the best shot show in the whole freaking world ever, to 2022, which was in the running for the best shot show ever. In a different way, it was the best shot show ever, just not actually the best shot show ever. But for everybody still going to shot show, it's their best shot show for sure. Like, it's the best shot show in recent times. 8 was just amazing. Like, there's no way to compare with 8, but nobody even knows. But back in the day, we got treated like royalty essentially compared to now as media, and that's what it was like. That was like the heyday of that in 8. And it was just amazing. The internet was littler. It was just different. But anyway, so 22 was amazing. And I'm not the reason I'm going is not just because it's year 21, or like Outcast is saying in a different comment, it's like an 8-hour drive for me. So it's really not that expensive or difficult for me to get up there, which definitely facilitates it. And I'm not bitching. Like, I don't like that it's in Vegas every year. I don't mind if it would go somewhere else, but I also don't mind that it's almost the cheapest place. If it went to Phoenix, I guess it would be a little bit easier for me, but it's very easy to get there. But anyway, seeing the show change or whatever is a big thing. And then I used to say the people, but holy shit, I can't even tell you how many cycles of people. Like, the people I first started going to SHOT Show with are different than, that 2009 era. And then there's the 2010. None of those people are around. That's like Haas and them. Like, they're all gone. Then there's like the Clover and Ghost kind of era there. Then there was the activist era, one of my favorite eras, 2019, 2000, was it 20 that the panel happened?
Yep, 2020.
And then that's when it peaked. And also, well, it peaked, and that sucks because it means it's also when it started to fall. But that's when, like, whatever it was called before, the DC Project was a thing, and the industry almost gave a shit. They weren't really there with suicide awareness yet, but they were definitely, you know what I mean? Like, it was an interesting time for SHOT Show. Although it wasn't an amazing show, the potential, I thought, was like not just there, but it was also like not just accepted, but it was like ready. It was like somebody opening a nice cold carbonated beverage in a can when you're just got done with a lot of work, and then you're about to get refreshed with that, like we're about to see the peanut butter and the chocolate of the industry and the activism start to figure out the magic. And then, like fucking clockwork, next fucking a week or two later, maybe we shouldn't, what was it, like 3 weeks for the, I can't remember what they said.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
It was like days after SHOT Show. Yeah. Slow the spread by staying home for a couple of days or whatever. And it was like, all the rallies started dying, like all that kind of momentum. And then, well, what happened was everybody was like, I'm scared. I'm going to go buy a gun. And the industry was like, we can talk about that shit later. Let's make some guns. Let's make a couple of guns. You can't blame them. They're feast or famine. They got to make their money when they make their money, I guess. I wish they would say, we were about to talk about some interesting shit when we started making this money. Let's put 20% of it to that real quick. But that'd be a lot to ask.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to go look at, like, when you're talking about actual stuff, I was talking about that Kinney earlier, so I'll be talking to them. The company that Kinney Barrow is on now, I can't remember the name of it, but they make a gun lock that uses biometrics, like in the padlock size, that just, makes it a lot more, potentially a lot more, what's the word, like usable or like handy for people who might want it. So anyway, I'm going to try to pay attention to that kind of stuff, just because I'm I agree with WTTA that a focus on that is useful or positive for the whole thing. Then some of the other people we know that are friends or whatever, I'll look at their booths. But I guess what I was going to say is I look at the same stuff Tony was talking about, whatever mostly emails, I guess, but there's some like websites and stuff that'll pay attention to this stuff, some blog posts that traditionally will, say, hey, what we're looking at for SHOT Show, and I'll look at them, right, as like a shortcut. And that's where I'll learn about, stuff I might want to check out. Usually it kind of depends on how much time and how much effort I'm going to put into it. I'm not making any videos or anything this year on products, but like on individual things that at least I'm not planning on that. There's nothing I'm scheduling or anything. So I'll just target of opportunity. But that being said, there's so many ways to go with that. I was going to say where was I going to go with that? Even though I'm not going to, or I am going to take a look at what's going to be there. I think, I can't imagine what I was going to say. Dang it. I had something I was going to add to products. There's a suicide prevention thing on Thursday or something that they want us to sign up for. I can't tell because I didn't sign up for it if they want us to pay money for it, but it's like right in the middle of the day, and it's to teach us stuff that it's kind of like saying show up in the middle of the day for an actual stop the bleed class. And I don't want to stop the bleed class. If anything, I'd want to like discussion about when to use, you know what I mean? Like I don't want the actual instruction on suicide prevention. I want a discussion on how we can, address it as an industry or make it more common, or, you know what I mean? Like bring it up in shops in different ways or something that's useful. I don't want to just listen to them give me like a presentation on how we should be aware of suicide. As far as after hour stuff, I'm going to the shoot. I like going to the range day. Other years, like last year, I went to all the range days. My dog doesn't like the noise. So if I stay at range day, I have to park really far away and still know that she's going to be bothered by it. I guess, the problem is I can't put her up. Like if I put her up somewhere, there's the time in the day that they'll open the doors for business. And unless I drop her off the night before, they don't open until the range is already open. So I can't really drop her off somewhere and then go to the range. That means I have to go to the range with her. And assuming I bring her, I don't really like leaving her at home. Anyway, so that's my issue, is I usually have seen the range a million times now. So often I'll go to all of the shoots, or at least a couple of the shoots, because there's on the range day, there's the official range day where it's at Boulder Range. And then there's almost always one at the next one. I can't think of the name of it. The other one that's at a quarry on the way into town. But then at the Air Force, the military shoot will happen sometimes, which is invite only, or SIG hosts it, kind of depends. And then, SIG hosts the one at the North Range. So there's usually like at least those four. And then lately there's been one at Pahrump and at the old front site, which is now called Prairie Fire, I think. And dang, that thing is massive, and it is worth driving out there for a number of reasons. So I don't know what I'm going to do at the range day. I have to sort of recon that. But there's no but. I just have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I don't really care about pulling triggers, but I do like covering the show, and that is part of the show. And the range, it's the range day, the real range day, gets bigger and different every year. And it's just interesting to be aware of. But like I said, that one in Pahrump, I think that's got such potential, like just such potential. I think I talked about it last year. It's so massive. Was it 2 years ago? Or was it last year that it happened? I can't even keep track. I think it was, if it was last year, that means I went to all of them last year. And that was kind of a long day. But like I say, it was definitely worth it. Unfortunately, it was massively windy out there. It was like tornado type winds. So I'm sure the people that went out there weren't necessarily psyched, because that had to be, just environmentally or like physically exhausting. You can imagine like being from out of, if you don't live in the desert, just being in the desert is kind of a thing, right? I know it's dry, and like Vegas is at altitude. So there's probably people that live near water that are like, what the hell is this in the first place? And then it's super cold, and super windy. It's just, that's a lot for the humans to deal with. So I'm guessing that even though it was a massively cool, what do you call it? Like, what do you call that? Like, not just a range, like it's a facility, like it's massive, it's huge. It's millions, it's, I don't know, it's millions of acres, but it's hundreds of acres. It's really big. There's like buses to take you to all the different pieces of it. So I don't know if that was appreciated, I guess, or loved by everybody who was like actually trying to experience it, because they were probably, you know, every time they bundled up into a whatever they had to keep warm, they were probably thinking about the people at the other range, you know. Grass is always greener. So I don't know if that hurt it or not, or if they're going to keep doing it. I haven't even really looked. I guess I could look while we're chatting here a little bit.
Yeah, we're looking into going to Staccatos Range Day, maybe.
Where is that one at? Prump?
I don't know. I'm looking at the invite right now. Yeah, Brump.
I think they were in
Very
Prump.
fun.
I think they were one of them. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not difficult to get to, because there's like giant you know, the big giant tour buses, like a real giant bus with a bathroom in it and everything. There's like one of them going,
wow.
or more than one going, like every 15 minutes. Like they spent a lot of money on that. And I'm sure those buses weren't full. There was a lot of people out there, but I'll bet you those buses were just running just to make sure people could get out there.
Yeah, because part of us wants to, you know, we were like, all right, let's check out this one since we got the invite and see how it is. I don't
Here,
know.
let me put it on the map here, since I got the thing open. I got the screen open or whatever, just to show the scale of the thing. So, oh, I guess I should put it on the right screen. So if I zoom out from Tucson and I drive up past Phoenix and Kingman, I get to Las Vegas. So Vegas up here, basically where these little dots are, is SHOT Show. And then this is the big lake behind the dam. And then Boulder City is the city they created to build the dam. And that's where, just about where this 11 is where the range is. Or is this the range? No, the range is somewhere like right where that 11 is somewhere. Here it is. So this is the range where SHOT Show is at, give you an idea of the size of it. So you drive, it's actually a pain in the ass to get to, and then you drive there, and then these are all the handgun bays. These are all the rifle things in this house, and then usually machine guns and rifles are up here. So then you drive from there through Boulder or around Boulder, and then over here is a quarry. Pro Gun Vegas is the name of this one. And you can see that this is an old quarry. So you drive up this shitty road. This is where Clover will have his story about getting stuck on the side of the road. And plus, he popped 2 tires driving out of here because he's so reckless. And that's where it happened, right there. So you drive in over here, and you drive up this hill, and there's all these bays starting here. And you drive all the way up to this building, and this whole area will be tents and like all kinds of shit going on. They'll have a helicopter landing over here. And they don't use all these bays, but that's how big that place is. They use about half of these bays, I think. And that's another event. That's the second event. I think everybody can see this, right? And then if you drove back to Vegas, that would be SHOT Show somewhere over here at the top of the airport. But over here at Nellis Air Force Base, if you go up, I think it's past the airport actual area, somewhere up here somewhere, there's some ranges that people like the military shoots will give you access to, or they will have access to. And then you basically get like a secret map, and you drive up there and you can go to that one. Then there's the big range. This is the Clark County shooting facility. It's a massively nice, like 5 or 6 star range. It's like one of the nicest ranges in the country. I've been to a lot of them. This is one of the nicest ranges. And this is where SIG will typically have their event. And it's in these top 2 ranges up here. And that's like on the north side of everything. So that gives you an idea of like those 4 that I was talking about. And that's Vegas. But now if you drive out, what the hell road is it? This road. So I'm driving way the hell out this road. And then you get to some other road that goes south right by this thing. No. There's a road that goes south out here somewhere. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong. No, I'm on the right road. Here it is. So you get out to here. You get to where this little thing is on the side of the road. And then you take this road way out. And then you get to one of these roads. There it is. Then you get to this road and you go all the way down this road. And the cool part is the fastest time I ever got my cop car going is on this road. I got to about 120 on this road because it's just flat and nothing.
Nice.
It's awesome. So, and I've gotten my van pretty fast in there. The van is much scarier than the cop car at that kind of speed, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then you get down here, and this is the one I'm talking about. So, I mean, this would be the size of scale of like the range at SHOT Show almost. And then now you zoom out, and you've got another one over there, and then you zoom out, and you have like two more over here. So this one is just a much more massive facility. But to put it in perspective again, that's where that one is, and that's where Vegas is. So they're kind of nowhere near each other. You kind of have to make the decision if you're going to them and you want to experience them. You kind of have to make a decision. Am I going left or right? The one on the left is much bigger. It's newer. The one on the right is the established one. Everybody knows what it is. And you could technically go to 2 because you can go to that other one on the way back real easily. So it's a decision, but you guys are talking about, I mean, I don't know which podcast you're with, a couple of podcasts that have a couple of guys. So it is possible. We did this in Florida once and we never did it again. So FYI, like I didn't like it. Nobody else liked it, but we split up and Greg went to the shotgun shoot and we went to the other one, which turned out to be like, we were like, what happened at the shotgun one? He's like, what happened at yours? And we were just all butthurt. We didn't go to the other one. So I didn't really like that, but it is a way to see both of them.
I mean, truthfully, the thing is, look, you pull the trigger and you roll with it. Like, I'm at that age where I'm not about running around checking out different things because they're going to have vendors from the same companies.
That's the thing. They hate each other. It's like SIG hates SHOT Show now. Yeah, no, they're different. That's the thing. So, like the military one, there's really no point in going to unless you're just want to be cool and like see cool shit because you can't really film there. Mm-hmm. Then the SIG one is SIG. They hate SHOT Show, and SHOT Show hates SIGs. They don't even go to SHOT Show anymore, I think. So their shoot is all the people that are like, we're too cool for SHOT Show anymore. So that is when if you go, like, you have to make a decision. Well, I shouldn't say that. Like, you're not going to meet any of the same vendors at SHOT Show in that one. Nice. Now the one that's close to SHOT Show is basically the people that like have no problem with SHOT Show. They just couldn't get in. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't enough room, or they got in too late, or they didn't have the money, or whatever. But they're not necessarily like we're on the other side of the fence from SHOT Show. But that's I mean, obviously nobody wrote this down. I'm just saying what I feel like it is. But these are the ones that are like, we're not going to SHOT Show, but we're still going to be in Vegas for the people that are at SHOT Show. Now this one is just, well, it's staccato. Where do you put them? They're like, we're better than SHOT Show, maybe. It's not like we are against them. It's just that we're going to do it at a cooler, better place. And it's going to be newer and different and new. So that's kind of what you see at the one at the Pahrump is like all the companies that are catering to like the people that are like, you've already seen what, I don't know who shows up at main SHOT Show one, you know, Daniel Defense or something. Like you've seen what they've got. Like you've seen that stuff. Right, like Ruger and Glock. Like you've seen what, okay, and that's true. Like Glock has enough money to be at both. So you might see Glock at both because they also don't have any, they don't care. Like they're Glock, they can do whatever they want. So it might be like Smith & Wesson or something is at both. I really, like I say, I went to this one because I go to it because it's like I can do that in my sleep, right? So I went to that one, but like here, when you park at it, this triangle is essentially the parking lot, and this is like the main entrance. Now, when SHOT happens, this is a massive thing, right? So anyway, I got there, and when I get there early, like you park right up front here, so I couldn't be any closer to like all the noise, and you can't say, let me park in the back. They just won't let you. So I had to make the decision. I ended up getting there early because I was going to go to all of them. So it's kind of like I did this. But anyway, I got there early. I walked back and forth. I actually ended up walking way over here and shooting a couple of things. So I was probably there longer than Mello wanted me to be. But I knew she was freaking out. So I left and then drove up the hill to over here, let's say, and then took video of the thing with my drone. And then I went to this one and drove up there, looked around. Me personally, this is more of like let's put something on our AK that isn't like actually from an AK or whatever. Like let's put some AR part on an AK, or let's make a fancy AR that's 9mm or something. Like that's the kind of companies that show up here. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but it's not like my style, right? I didn't go to SIG because it's way up here. So then I went to this one. And that took me forever. But anyway, what I was getting at is like by the time I got out here, because it took me so long, all I did is like drive in, made sure that I could just drive around, which actually took a minute because, they don't like, they're not used to people just saying, hey, I drove all the way out here. Can I just look around and leave? But once I was like cool that I could just drive around and look, I did. And that took a while. Like because it's such a big place, it literally just took a while to actually look at. So, oh man, there was just so much stuff out there that, I mean, if I was going to SHOT Show for the first time ever, I'd consider going to Pahrump, because if I had to make the decision, you've got like 100 other cameras at this one. You're not going to miss anything. You won't see it. You won't pull the trigger, but you're not going to miss it. Like there's so many cameras at this one that you might actually, as a content creator, you might actually have some sort of a better odds to make a relationship with somebody, or to like, I came out here to see you and you made this decision. I made this decision. Like we're both in that club or something. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just looking at, again, we haven't decided as a group how we're going to do it, but we made sure we got the invite and got on the RSVP.
Yep.
And then we can make that decision, pull the trigger that day. Uh, I like being able to go out and pull triggers because I'm a gun guy. That's what got me into this. I won't even pretend like, oh, I'm so over guns. No, that's why I'm here. So yeah, I'm there for that. And going to regular shot, yeah, something that I'm annoyed by. And we started at one end like 3 years in a row. We start up the hill to the left at the very beginning, and I think it's Maxim Defense. And those guys treat the dudes that show up with all the cameras as if they're like royalty. It's like, hey, they're filming now, so no one else shoot, no one else. It's like, yo, bro, we're on the timetable here. Everybody, I don't care about this large YouTube channel having what, the entire bay to themselves to shoot a belt fed. They're at shop. Every other booth, they're gonna have to freaking wait. You know what? So we did that twice. And the second year, we were like, you know what? I don't care what they have here. Bye. It's like, I'm not waiting around for these two camera crews to film. We have other stuff we can talk about. And that's what we do. I'm like, hey, you want to see a Springfield Armory pistol? How long's the line? It really comes down to that. It's like, how long is the line? Because we're going to see a Springfield Armory something during the year. Hey, want to go to the Ruger booth? Not really. Look at that line. It's like, what you call this can go there. The people that are buying for the distributors or the gun shops, they can go there and see that stuff. I mean, when I'm putting out video and doing stuff like that, it's like, who wants to see the RXM when I actually get given the RXM that we shoot, do a video on it, and can take it online and shoot? I have that opportunity now, thank God. So I want to get the stuff that's either brand new or I always wanted to shoot. I like pistol caliber carbines, and I like the companies that are coming out with different things. And one of the cool ones is Bishop Ammo. Well, Bishop, what the frig is the name of the company? I think it's Bishop Ammo is what I've seen, ammunition. And that's a one-person gun chick that's family was in the firearms manufacturer. She's a freaking lawyer living in California, and she decided to become a firearms manufacturer. She comes up and designs and builds cool ass rifles that don't cost a gang of money. It's like, so she built an AR-15 pistol caliber carbine. It takes 45, and she kept the aesthetic kind of sort of looking like a Tommy gun. And I just thought that was a great freaking thing. It was different, and you can get out and see it. So I dug that. And hey, if you don't want to see it, cool. Because guess what? My page and my post on YouTube is probably the only one that takes time to go see somebody as amazing as her. We've had her on the show. She's a cool person, and I like talking to her and hanging out with her because she's actually a real gun person. I mean, she's got a 458 SOCOM lever action. Oh, and this thing is called the AR-45 rifle. That's what it's called. and like she custom builds these things. So if you want to check her out, go on. Yeah, AR-45 TC Exodus sub rifle, $1,900. Oh,
Oh, I pulled up something else.
so, yeah, no problem.
So
I mean, it's not crazy. It's just different.
Packard is saying, Staccato bought the old front sight facility, so wonders if they're going to have their stuff at front sight. So, uh, it was Prairie Fire before. Is it not Prairie Fire anymore, or is Prairie Fire Staccato?
Yeah, I just gave you the address. It's yeah, 1 Prairie Fire Road. Staccato Vegas is called now. It's actually called Staccato Vegas.
Interesting. I'm going to say, what happened to Prairie Fire, Nevada? The company that acquired the former front sight facility rebranded and is now known as Staccato Vegas, fully integrating into the Staccato 2011 brand for a premium shooting experience with extensive ranges and special ops inspired courses. As of early 2025, the change signifies a new chapter after Prairie Fire's 2022 purchase of the bankrupt front sight, aiming to offer high-end immersive range experience different from its predecessor's model. According to the article on the Outdoor Wire, from 2022 to 25, it was called Prairie Fire, and then the new identity is now Staccato Vegas, as part of the larger Staccato ecosystem, including Staccato Ranch, which I'm assuming is in Texas. I have no idea. It's 500 acres.
Probably.
500 acres, 50 ranges, rifle platform, SWAT style courses, unique Havoc experiential ranges, whatever that is. It's integrated into the Staccato Unlimited membership program. Oh, moving away from the old front sight model to create a premier shooting destination. Interesting. So now you can buy the Staccato Unlimited. Nice. I have a Staccato. Oh, really? I have a Staccato membership. I can go to the Staccato place. You have to have, if you have a hair bun, or if you have your hair in a knot, then you can get into there for 50% off, 50 cents off. 50 cents off.
Well, can I get in and use my old front sight pass? Because I have a pass to one free class at front sight.
Oh my gosh, dude, I have so many because we were cool with them. So they gave me a whole stack of them one time so I could give them to people and have them and go up there and train and stuff. So, yeah, there was a time, I think, when I could have, they had some value, but as like trade-ins to like whatever their new version of a thing was.
Yep.
That was an interesting thing that happened in 2005 to 2011, I guess, or whenever they went bankrupt. But that was a phenomenon that, I bet you people wouldn't even believe if they heard the whole story of front sight and all that. And now it's, like I say, it's not even a footnote. And it's not even, why would anyone ever bring it up? The people that were involved are probably a little embarrassed, as they would have been even when it was happening. And then now this whole thing, and nobody, oh man, it's just interesting. So I had no idea. Thanks for the insight on that. Wow, I have no idea Staccato is such a big thing. How much can that even, I can't even imagine how much that costs. I must wonder if they say it anywhere.
There's probably an article somewhere about when it sold out. But see, they pushed Staccato so hard that it annoyed me. It annoyed me because, again, I was here. When it started, we were part of the industry, and we were getting bombarded in YouTube. Oh, Staccato, 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 so great, Staccato, Staccato, Staccato. And as somebody that's been around longer than 5 minutes, I'm like, a double stack 1911. Yeah, I remember STI. Yes, I've shot him. No. It's Staccato now. It's different. No, it's the same thing. Except they changed it to Staccato, and they're pushing this on law enforcement and regular people. Before, they stayed in their competition lane. They got new people, they got new marketing, and they just changed it up. And truthfully, when they came out, they weren't ready for prime time. They still had the finicky mags, but they had all these people talking about how great it is and downplaying the fact that they had to get their stuff together. And it's like, I guess it did just what annoyed me was the rebranding and then YouTube gun tubers acting as if it's some new great thing. It's no company, bro. They changed their marketing and you bought into it
It
because
was
they
like
gave you one.
it was like a successful version of what Springfield keeps trying. Like they've tried like 14 times already since YouTube's been around, but
What's
like
that?
Staccato figured it out. Just the concept
Yeah,
of like get a bunch of YouTubers and give them some. I don't know if they even give them guns. They probably just give them a discount on guns, honestly. And then there was just such a hype. I don't want to say cult because whatever, just a hype behind them. Sort of like
yeah,
Stanley Cups, right? Like everybody wants one, and
yeah. It was
everybody who
it
likes
was
them
a
wants one. And there's only so many to go around, so they like them.
yeah, it was a hype machine. And I'm like, they're decent, but they have these downfalls. And as a guy who's a fan of 1911s and have always been, I was around when all the very same people that are hyping up for 2011 were poo-pooing 1911s as antiquated and obsolete. But I'm like, wow, it's crazy that you put it on the double stack, same system, same controls, same ergonomics, same everything. And now it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, especially when they give you free ones or a severe discount. And again, a lot of the people that were singing their praises that were competition shooters, I get it. But that's not what you need for an EDC. That's not a great EDC gun, something with $100 freaking magazines at that time. $100 magazines, 1911s that you still have to clean and maintain like a 1911. And for that crazy ass price point you were talking. And I'm like, you're acting as if they're not double stack, high cap hammer fired pistols out there already with a great reputation that you can use as a regular civilian, as a range gun or EDC. I mean, have you heard of the SIG P226 or or the Beretta 92 series of pistols? Like there's stuff out there already that has a great trigger, or you can put a great trigger system in it and run it for half the price they're asking for staccatos. Okay, cool. This is going to be the new thing. Ride it out. So Staccato did theirs. Other companies that made higher end, better guns put theirs out. Now all of a sudden they're at $4,000, and that seems regular to some people. And the price of this EDC and the one everybody's talking about, or the firearm everybody's talking about, was Staccato and 2011 type guns. And then the inevitable happens. Other companies start making them for less money, cutting corners, making some that doesn't have such a great trigger or doesn't have this part or uses mem parts. And now we've, I think, hit the balance of you can find some decent ones that are around $1,000 mark, but you still got to overcome that magazine cost thing, which are a little more expensive, but they've come down to $50 to $75 now from 100, and they've gotten more dependable. And then the crazy thing, the big story out of freaking SHOT Show last year from Staccato was, oh, we got one that takes Glock mags. I'm like, okay, I'm
It's
just
not
done
quite
with all
full
that.
circle, but it's like going in circles. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you stick around for longer than 10 years, and everything is old is new again. And our crusty ass has been around since the '80s, early '90s, paying attention to this, reading, and consuming all the press. And it's like, wow, I thought I'd be a lot older when I became jaded. I thought it would take a lot longer. And it's like, nah, no, again, it's the sausage made kind of thing. And I'm excited. People should be. There's always a next generation of me's coming up that's seeing all this for the first time. I still remember walking in 2020 when I got invited to speak, and I'm walking with Johanna and Argo and Rolo, and you know who they are. I'm sorry if other people don't.
Some people
What was
back
the
in the
name?
locked and loaded, right? And then
Yeah, Locked and Loaded. Um, So they were great, Puerto Rican Pistoleros. So
just
it
Argo
was
J
great being with them.
name.
Yeah, and my boy Argo J. So we're walking, and I'm in Vegas at SHOT Show as the kid that would leaf through gun magazines at the gun store until they just gave me the magazine. And I'm like, I'm at SHOT. I'm at SHOT as a guest. I'm at SHOT as a speaker. I'm in freaking Vegas, baby, because of freaking firearms, because I became an advocate and I'm fighting for this. And people want to, this is crazy. Just, I'm looking at the waterfalls. What was it, outside the Villaggio or something we were at? And I just had a minute that I can't believe I'm here. And this is awesome. And I still feel that. It's just I know there's a lot of work, and I got to make sure, return on investment. I get to see people. I get to record stuff. I get to make plans. Now that I'm going to be on the floor at NRA in Houston doing the podcast, I can invite people to that to set that up, so I can set that schedule up. So more than likely, I'm going to have to guard my time at NRA so I don't do what I did in Atlanta this year, which is see none of the show, because for every day the place was open, I was doing interviews at my desk. I mean, in my what do you call that? Booth.
Yeah,
I never
doing the
left it.
radio podcast. You can play your zone, I guess is the way to say it. Where one of the reasons I never, at first, I really did like making videos. Honestly, like it was kind of fun whenever we were cutting new ground, because it was a lot of like showing the old guys that the internet was a thing. It wasn't. It was a little bit of like, I'm going to do it before Gun Blast, because Gun Blast only run doing anything like with Ruger or Smith and Wesson that I, period. So because like the other guys I mentioned, Milspec and Military Moron and all them, like they were all looking at military stuff. Like they'd go like Volter and they'd go to like real companies making real stuff. They wouldn't go, or stuff for like the military. They didn't go to like Ruger and Smith and Wesson and them. So that was just Gun Blast. And for a while there, I was like, we can do both. Right. Like I'm not trying to be as in depth on all that military stuff, but I'll do the military stuff because it's cool. And then it's what I'm interested in personally. But then I'm going to do the other stuff because it's easy enough to walk around and essentially let somebody, what do you call it? Say their thing. Because people don't realize the SHOT Show, the person standing there doing the video has done that like 1,000 times, the first day or two. So they're just doing their job, and you're just holding a camera up while they do their job. If you've ever been to a trade show, like a person at a trade show's job is to say something about a product over and over and over. So you're just filming them, right? So anyway, like I say, for a little while, I liked doing that. It was a bit of a challenge and it was kind of fun. But then when it got changed, it changed into like more of a everything at SHOT Show is going to be filmed more than once. So now it's like my style versus another person's style, or like I'm going to ask them about this in the booth rather than that in the booth. Then I lost the appeal, and I was just doing, like I said, looking at the show and doing other things. But anyway, the thing is there's other people there. So I wouldn't feel like you're missing something. Like whatever tactic, whatever strategy you choose for SHOT Show, I would say choose that strategy or that tactic, knowing that like there's going to be somebody who's there just to film the products, and there's going to be somebody filming new products. There's going to be somebody filming the stuff nobody else is filming. You know what I mean? There's going to be stuff, somebody filming the female owned products. There's going to be somebody filming the weird 9mm products that nobody cares about. Like everything will be covered. So it's just a matter of like, if you really care, you can sniff that stuff out, because whatever you're contributing to it is probably unique and necessary. And I'm not saying that just to Tony. Like, I think that's advice I would give to anybody who's going to SHOT. Like, back in the day, there was fewer things. So it's like, I could kind of understand the dilemma of like, I don't know if I should look at this or that. But nowadays, like, do what your passion is, do what you feel is important or necessary for whatever you're doing. Because like I say, you're not really missing anything. You'll be able, there's a couple of, obviously you don't see everything, but pretty good odds you're going to see some coverage, if not more than one coverage of maybe the gun or something you missed, the new blah, blah, blah from so-and-so. But that being said, there's a lot to that. I'm going to say, we got that comment on the screen. Is there anything you wanted that was very interesting you wanted to see at SHOT Show? I guess to follow up, I remember what I was going to say before. Like I say, I haven't done the research yet, but I wanted to just ask Tony what you think of lever guns. But then I was going to throw in, I know one of the things that is like on my short list that I look at each year, but they haven't really gone forward with it, is I think it was Cricket, but it was one of the companies that makes little 22 rifles, and they were making they made that Mosin Nagant, right? And I was hoping that they were going to continue making little versions of old World War II guns. Like that would have been neat. I hope they do that. Like I go bug them so that they know there is people out here that want to see that, in case they thought it was the worst idea ever. I want to make sure they know it was a good idea. But those are the kind of things that I look for at SHOT Show. The everything AK for sure, and then the kind of cool stuff that people do that isn't necessarily like prime time. Like somebody made a 4-barrel Derringer, but they put this stuff at SHOT Show and they're like, look what's new. And if nobody comes by and looks at it, it never exists again. You know what I mean? So SHOT Show that's one of the reasons SHOT Show exists, and that's I think what happened to that little Mosin Nagant. I never bought one. I didn't have the money at the time to do it. And then now that I'm thinking about your question, I'm thinking about it, and I'm pissed because I think they were only like $150 or something, right? Like it was the gun to buy. But anyway, and it's useless, but I just think it's super cool. Like a little scaled down Mosin Nagant is the coolest thing ever.
I'm laughing because, dude, while we were doing the show, I filmed a video at We Shoot with that Mosin Cricket 22.
Oh, really? Okay.
And as we were talking, they just tagged me in it to have me repost it. So it's been reposted for the last like 15 minutes on my Instagram.
Awesome.
Dude, that is crazy. Yeah, so it's a video right now on my Instagram with it, and with me talking about it and actually holding it up and going over the background of it. They were supposed to do 1903s and an infield. They were supposed to do a Springfield 1903 and an infield. That was what they said they were going to do. And their plan was to do like a World War I series. So we're talking a 98 or a 98K, I forget which one, whichever, they were just going to do a bolt action series of famous bolt actions from the World Wars.
They could be the same insides because no one would care. They're all going to be 22. Yeah. It's just that they would kind of make them look a little bit different in the bolt and the wood, and it would have been awesome.
Yeah, so I think that is great. And
I just thought of another one going on the same thing. The Rocky Mountain Goat Club or whatever they're called now. Hillbilly
so
Mountain Club or something.
This is funny because I recently reposted I interviewed them. I've interviewed them a couple of times, right? Because I really think it's important to go FU California because that California tried to kill them. And it's called Mountain Billy Goat Lab now.
Thanks.
And you can find it on Mountain Billy. So I posted up my video or reposted a video a month ago. So on December 4th, you can actually find my reposting of them. And it is pretty cool. I also ran into them again at not a Great American Outdoor Show, Goals, and had a conversation with them. It is such a cool.
They were at Goals? Where were they at? I wonder if I've seen them. I don't remember seeing them
now. They were about in the middle portion. They were pretty much slap dab in the middle.
Okay.
And I stopped to see them.
Because I usually ask them about the AK. Like one year they mentioned maybe they had pictures or like a receiver or something of an AK-22. And I was like, yes. That sounds awesome.
They haven't done it mainly because they got attacked from every side.
Yeah.
And had to rename the company, remarket themselves to not mention kids because that's what they were trying to push, that they were giving AR-15s to children. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, they're giving it's a 22, you lying. And this is Chuck Schumer and his lying ass. And it was Gavin Newsom. I mean, these are the pieces of shit. And I don't even like mince words because that's what you are when you intentionally misrepresent a small American business that's selling the possibility of single shot 22s with a giant ass lock that kids can't unlock without an adult being there. It's like, this is pretty much the safest 22 you can get. It looks like dad's gun. It's something that gets children excited. And then you come to realize they're trying to kill the culture. They don't give a shit about safety. It's all about killing the culture and not passing this on down to your children. And so that's what they did. So I try to stop, take pictures, and repost their stuff because people will forget about them if they don't get airtime. So please go check them out if you're thinking about buying your kid one, or if you're thinking about buying a 22, or if you just want to support an American company so they don't go under. That would be great. MTN Billy. That's how you can find them on line, and it's called the Goat 15 22 semi-automatic. They also have a pistol version. And the cool thing is, yes, that little tiny thing, you can put a suppressor on it, and you just got a little freaking cool gun. So check it out if you want. I just like the fact that people are out there doing stuff and fighting the fight because they have to.
Well, they I don't know if they have to, but they're willing to because they created a thing, and I'm almost 1,000% certain that they didn't create it for controversy. They created a thing, controversy found it, and where it would have been much easier to just go, damn, let's start making motorcycles or let's go build a boat or whatever, let's build a better Atari or something. They continued to change the name, deal with it, get slaughtered again, attempted slaughter again with their company, and then come through the ashes and do it again. I think that's cool. Yeah. And they're cool people. Like meeting them every year at SHOT. Like, I mean, they're how do you say, like, you can tell that they are enthusiastic, maybe that's the right word. Like they're there at the show to see people and to get people's feedback and to show enthusiastically what their product is. There's a couple other products that I personally like that it's so frustrating because the people that are there are like phoning it in. I don't know if they've just whatever. Every video they seem mopey. Maybe it's just a personality or whatever. But anyhow, I think the Mountain Billy, Mountain.
Yeah, Mountain Billy Gun Lab.
Mountain Billy Gun Lab. It was MBGL. That doesn't even help me.
Yeah, Mountain Billy Gun Lab.
I don't know where they came up. I should ask them where they came up with that from. So anyway, that's where the goat comes from. It's not the goat guns like the little. I call them matchbox cars for guns. They're longer than a matchbox cool car. Yeah. I liked them for a while. I'm less interested in them now.
Why? I mean, I've never even touched one. I just like the concept. I thought it was cool.
Marco's friends with them, so I had nothing against the people. They never sent me one. And what bothers me, I shouldn't like whatever they sent me. They asked me like 5 times if I want one. And it's not, like, here's the thing. Here's a little behind the scenes. When you do shit on YouTube, especially if you do shit that gets any kind of numbers, people will come up to you and go, "Can I give you my thing if you talk about it?" Because they want to have somebody who gets numbers to look at their thing, right? And with gun stuff, it happens less than with other stuff, but with gun stuff, it happens. So for whatever reason, over the years, like 5 different times, and I'll caveat, I don't pay attention. I don't know if the same people own goat guns this whole time or not. Like if it's been changed hands, then this might explain it. But over the years, like they'll come to me and go, like they through email. It's not like I know them or anything. I've met them a number of times, probably 5 times, 7 times, 10 times if you count like walking by at SHOT Show and waving at them or something. But like actually hung out with them, like with Marco and shit, like 5 times. Like, so they don't remember me after 5 times. Then I'm just saying, I'm not like the most memorable person, but if somebody doesn't remember me after 5 times, they ain't paying attention to me, right? So it is what it is, and I don't remember them, so it's not like I give a shit. Like I don't live my life over toy guns or nothing, and I thought it was clever until I met them, and they're just really in it for the money, which is fine. Like you're allowed to be a capitalist or whatever. But years later, when I gave more of a shit, they make a teal blue 1911, and they could probably do anything they want, but they happen to make one of their 1911s in teal blue. So I was like, and this was 19, no, this is 20, or yeah, I think it was either 20 or 22. And I walked over and went like, "Hey, you don't know me, but I know you for a long time, and you would make a lot of headway if you gave a bunch of these to the DC Project at the time, Women for Gun Rights Now." And they were like, "I don't give a shit about that." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't give a shit about you no more." So there's my story. I don't want to go around talking shit, but that's what happened. So I was like, all right, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about your guns that much. It'd be awesome if you gave me a bunch of your AKs. But like 5 times, I guess I never finished my story. Like 5 times with email, "Hey, you want one of our guns? It'd be awesome if you play with one of your guns on your channel," or blah, blah, blah. They always ask you some way of saying, play with my shit in front of people. And I'm like, yeah, here's what I want. The AK and the SVD. That's all I care about. Like, don't send me anything except the AK and the SVD. And like, at first it was like, "Oh, we're out of the AK." Or like, "We don't care about promoting the AK." I'm like, then why are you asking me? Like, why would you even come to me about anything besides an AK or the SVD? And anyway, so that's my back and forth with them. Like, maybe 5 times over 10 years or something. So I don't love them or hate them, but they're not the goats we're talking about. I really, really, really like the people that make a 1/3 or is it a 2/3 scale AR-15 with in 22 caliber. So basically,
Oh,
they
that's
took
so
the
cute.
rifle and wrapped it around a 22 in the same scale that you'd wrap an AR around a 223, I believe. At least that's what it seems like.
Hmm.
So it turns into something that you can still put your hand on, but it's like the size for a kid. So it's not like a half
Yep.
size or a cool miniature, but it's like, because it would be awesome if it was a cool miniature. I'd love it a million times
Yeah,
more.
it
But
would be.
it's a functional little kid gun. So it's like a cricket size, whatever, 26 inches. It's a regular gun. So it's at least 26 inches overall, and it has a 16-inch barrel. But that turns it into the right scale for like a 22 long rifle versus a 223. So it's like just the coolest AR ever. They had the best patch in the world the first year they came to SHOT Show, and I grabbed a couple of those
Yep.
patches. And then the second year, their patches were like the hit of SHOT Show. And then the asshole in California governor, seeing that their marketing was amazing, it was just this cool, like, was it a bunny or something? It was like some kind of a
Oh
cool
no,
cartoon.
it was a skull and crossbones with a
Oh, that's what it was.
with a pink
It was
bow
like
and a
a it
binky.
was like a
Yeah.
Beetlejuice version of a skull. It was like a playful sugar skull
Yep.
version of a skull, and it was a
Yep.
boy and a girl skull, and it was like cool marketing, and it was this little AR. So the governor of California was like, "Let's make a thing where you can't market to children, and we'll use them as like the scapegoat. Like we'll demonize them in their marketing." And that's where I was saying, like, they didn't fold. They just rebranded and came back, and they got attacked again, and then they rebranded and came back as this mountain gun lab. No, but close.
Fight it, fight it. Come on, fight it. It's hilarious.
Mountain Billy
Listen, I
gun.
can't. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'm like, bro, I can't get the name of my podcast right, so I'm not goofing on you because you can't get it. They just made it a tongue twister.
No, they did.
I
They
guess
made
the
it
way they did,
unnecessarily complicated to me because I want to say Billy Goat, but that's why we're saying goat all the time.
but I think it's great because I think they did it that way. Because now, if these a-holes try to talk smash about, they're gonna trip over their tongue every time they say the name of the company.
They definitely can't make it sound like it's some kind of thing that slips off your tongue. Exactly. That's a good point. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
fight
didn't
it.
ask them
Make
why
your
they
tongue
named
fight
it
the
that way.
rest. Make your tongue fight the rest of your mouth trying to get this out. Mountain Billy Gun Lab. Yeah, I like the family. You know, I'm mom, dad, brother, sister, all of them. I actually had conversations with them down in the basement of SHOT Show for 2 years in a row. Hung out with them at goals. I don't know if they remember me because there are a lot of people that they speak to, but it is great seeing
And
them, and
they have
that's
the
why I
kind of
post.
product that everybody, I mean, even if you don't like ARs that much, you can dig that product. So I'm sure they get a lot of pats on the back, like, oh, that's a clever idea. I like your shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like they probably get a lot of feedback.
Oh, and they changed their marketing to talk about it's the lightest weight semi-automatic 22. Like that's what they're pushing now. Like it's a great companion to go hunting or take in the woods with you because it doesn't weigh much.
Yeah, that would be
Because
cool
they
to do
had to
that.
get away from that. Yeah,
It's a
so
non
it's actually.
SBR, but it's still a full
Mhm.
AR, but it's not an SBR, but it is small, like almost like a pistol with a brace, but it's in real AR. I like it. I like it a
Mhm.
lot. It's like
Oh
what
yeah,
it's
so
like
they
for
did a
me and
good
you to
job.
handle a regular AR. It's like regular people can handle that. See what it's like.
it's it is it's sad, but yeah.
Well,
When I was actually listening to a podcast, where the Harry John 1911 podcast. I don't know if you listen to him at all. Anyway, he was on today. He released a podcast with someone who was actually with the HK 416 program. And he was talking about the shift the first time he saw it in work. Well, he wasn't with the HK 416, but he worked with HK 416 coming up with suppressors for him, for SOCOM and special forces to meet th- their needs to be able to mag dump, you know, out of their 416s without burning out the suppressor. Anyway, he was talking about how these gun AR-15s just got heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier till now you got like a 9 pound basic rifle. And then if you throw all the accoutrement on, you pretty much have a 12-pound gun. and say, guys today that build their kit and build it out and making their little clone guns or whatever. And if they ever pick up a Colt SP1 or, the original M16A1, they're looking at it like, oh, this is so great. How does this thing weigh only 6 pounds? Like, when did they make this? In the beginning. It's just gone, oh, we've added so much capability. You added a lot of weight. And that capability is great if you're on the front lines, but really, if you're just hanging out at the range and using it for your home defense firearm, I mean, you got a heavy ass gun, bro. And you could have had like a 6 pound rifle with an optic and a sling. And you're straight.
Oh, I'm muted. I'm setting up a poll because I got these two stories sitting over here for whenever we get to these stories. We still got a minute. Yeah, we are 2 hours in. This show goes faster. Like this, some sort of energy beam or something happens to us. This show goes fast. That's why it's not our fault that this show goes long. It's just the nature of time or something.
Oh.
When we can, it's a kind of wormhole. Anyhow, there's two stories up there.
When we get together, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Speeds up.
But, a poll out there for the people listening so you can be involved and have some fun figuring out what the next thing we'll talk about is. After we talk about Outcast's other comment here, he kind of followed up earlier, but that comment about SHOT Show with SHOT has always seemed ridiculous when it comes to the price for me. If it was a half-day drive, it might be more reasonable. Well, yeah, for sure. But I'm going to use this as a like a vector so that I can rant a little bit, since I feel like you have to obligatorily talk about SHOT every year. Because I do. I like SHOT a lot. Like I said, I've been going for a long time. I really like that it brings the industry together. I'm a giant fan of gun shows. And SHOT Show is not a gun show. It's an industry trade show, so it's much different. People will call it the largest gun show. That is not the case. The largest gun show is, in fact, in Oklahoma, and it's actually a gun show, and it's amazing. It's awesome. Twice a year. It's definitely worth going to. That is a gun show. When a gun show means people show up as vendors, people show up as what do you call the audience at a gun show? The attendees, I guess you call them. And then you're basically customers. You're walking around and people set up booths either as gun shops or individual vendors or traveling people. And you've got all this opportunity to see just the most eclectic bunch of stuff. Awesome. It's awesome. And I really think it's like the blood of the industry because it brings the humans in contact with the manufacturers, or at least the representatives and the wholesalers. And everybody gets to have that interaction. Over price, over what's next, I wish this thing was blue, or I wish they had a longer barrel, all that kind of stuff is what happens at gun shows. It kind of happens online now, but it kind of, it's just a different thing when it's all in person. Plus it allows us to meet each other, see how much of us there are, see how big a percentage of the population or the community, I guess we are. And there's something for that, you know what I mean? Sports people get to show up at a stadium. You don't have to be ashamed to be a sports person unless you're voting for some team everybody hates or something, right? You can know how many people in your community are into sports, but we kind of get shamed if we wear gun stuff. As gun owners, we'll be like, oh, you shouldn't wear a gun shirt. People will know you're wearing a gun, that kind of shit. So, I really like gun shows, but SHOT Show, the industry show, totally different. And it's really for the industry to meet and gather and do all the stuff you kind of need to do as an industry, such as a gun manufacturer. We kind of alluded to it. Will come out with some ideas. Maybe they want 4-barrel guns. Maybe they want something with a longer thing or a lighter trigger or bigger red dot or whatever the hell they want. So they'll make that as a prototype or as a early production run or a limited series or something, or a trial run or whatever you want to call it. And they'll put that out on the table, and then the attendees at SHOT Show are the industry, gun shops, people that own ranges, trainers, mostly gun shops though, mostly the middlemen, the people that work between the manufacturers and the gun shops, the facilitators of all the warehousers, essentially, the Davidsons and the Lipsies and those kind of places. Sports South, I don't remember which ones all exist anymore, Xanders. So that's the kind of people that are at SHOT Show, and they're walking around laying hands on stuff. So you think of all the people that work in the industry, facilitating, moving stuff around, building the stuff. They go around, lay hands on stuff. They got to see what the competitors are doing. If you're building holsters like Ozzy, you want to lay hands on as many guns as possible. If you're making ammo, you want to find out what guns, what calibers people are looking for, what percentages. Hey, we need way less 9mm. It's a total fad, and everybody's realizing it's a horrible caliber, so we need way more 45 next year. Like that's the kind of conversations you overhear all the time. So it's like I understand why people well, okay, then there's the media, and of the 60,000 essentially people that go, 2,000 of us are media. So it's like we're not like the big deal. It's just that we're the only ones with cameras, and we're the only ones talking about it all the time for the most part. Like a gun shop might talk about it to like the 18 people in their gun shop, right? Like they're not talking about it online like we do. So it sort of turns into this like, hey, they're there for us. And if you talk to probably 80% of the media, they think they're there for them. So a lot of them are real self-focused, I guess. So, you know, the impression I think is that SHOT Show's this big event. And in reality, it's like any other trade show I've ever been to. It's a lot like the car trade shows I used to go to when I was a kid. And I've been to like boat trade shows. I've been to a couple of like electronics-ish type of trade shows. And then I think I might have been to like something like a Comic Con, like a big comic book gun show sort of thing. And it's very similar to all of those things in the respects that it just brings such an like a group of people together in such a big place that you kind of realize just how big it all is, right? But at the same time, you figure out that like if you really think about it, the entire industry is in 2 buildings right now. Like it used to be in one big ass building, but our industry is not that big. And like you could walk from one end to the other and kind of after about 3 years, you recognize most of the people in the industry. If you really tried to pay attention, I bet you in 2 years you could memorize everybody at every booth. It seems big, but it's really not that big. And you know what I mean? Once you figure out like that's the owner of that company, like that's the guy that builds those guns, you know what I mean? Like you figure out real quick who the people are in each booth. They might have 13 people there, but you figure out real quick that 10 of them are just hired hands, and like 2 of them are the people that run that booth. You know, like Mike at Silencer or something, or not Silencer anymore, at Dead Air.
Dead
Right?
Air,
Like
yeah.
Charlie at High Point.
High Point.
So, you know, once you kind of know the movers and shakers, it's like you're kind of done. Like, you know, the whole industry. And it's kind of interesting. I don't know how many years it takes for people. You know, I guess if you were ambitious and trying to do that, it probably would take you 2 years, like I say, 1 year even. But, you know, it just happens, I think, at some point where somebody gets to a level 5, maybe 6 years in, and you're like, oh shit, like you've said it before, like I can make 2 phone calls and talk to anybody in this industry. Like I either know everybody or I know somebody who knows everybody. And it's not that big an industry.
Yeah, you don't need 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon in the industry. Really, you don't need all 6.
No, you need like 3, I think, at the most, and you'd be using one left over all the time.
Yeah, and it's funny. I love what I do, right? I really love being on podcasts talking about stuff with somebody who's like me and believes in the Second Amendment and is a gun dude, and we can just chill and even talk about anything. It makes no difference. And then when you get into the media room at SHOT, it's like, hey, hey, all around you, right? And then you realize, dude, this is pretty much the majority of media for our entire industry. And I know them, if not on a first name basis. We recognize each other from seeing each other here and at other events. And we follow. It's like, this is small. This is not huge. And I'm not even going to count. I mean, I'm talking about like gun writers or people that do it for a living. That's not even counting the guys that, you know, are still working and doing YouTube stuff, because you start to recognize them too if they make it to more than 2.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how ambitious they are. But anybody that's going to like shake your hand, you're going to recognize them next year. There's not that many people.
Yeah, and then if they're making it to SHOT, more than likely they'll be at NRA or the Great American Outdoor Show or Goals or GunCon, because there's so many opportunities now. Like Chris said, he's not going to SHOT, and it's like, yeah, not when you can go to 3 other shows for the amount of money you'd spend going to SHOT. And they're smaller, and you get to talk to vendors more personally, and you have more time for content, like goals set up so you can actually have content creators be on the floor and talking and doing interviews without the regular public being there. So you have more time, less interruptions, and people are there just to talk to content creators that day. And GunCon is the same thing. And then when you get into whatever Palmetto State Armory has, I cannot think of the name, the Gathering or something.
Yeah, I think
PSA has. Yeah, PSA has theirs. So it's like, as a content creator, depending on where you live, especially if you live East Coast, it's like, nah, I can go to PSA's thing and then I can get to the Great American Outdoor Show. And, flying from wherever I am on the East Coast to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is a heck of a lot cheaper, or at least less expensive for the stay, than going to Vegas. And you got 9 days in Harrisburg that you can pick. That gives you two weekends
Well, and
that
that
you
gives
can go.
you an opportunity to have a relationship with the people that have to work there that is unique, because no other situation requires that a person either be there for 9 days or do some kind of shift thing where like the company has like multiple shifts of people. But because it's such a long event, nobody's really talked about this too much, but I'm just assuming that if somebody really wanted to, you could play that element of the Pennsylvania show, so that you get as much out of it as you could out of SHOT Show or any of the others. Like, it's definitely a unique one, or a big one, I guess. A lot of potential.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
if you want trauma bonding, if you want to
yeah,
have
yeah,
trauma
no, that's the
bonding
way to
with the
say it.
company,
Yeah, seriously.
go
Well, or
there
maybe
and
that's
hang
the way to
out with
say it. Like,
someone for
go
a
there
week.
and help them, yeah, on the last couple of days, and like talk about like magnified effort, right? Like, they're gonna appreciate that so much more than like, hey, I have an extra bottle of water from the media room, or like, here's this thing that nobody thinks about. Hey, I brought down like 3 ice cold cans of soda that I still have
Mhm.
ice falling off of from the media room. Do you want them? Like, you can do that to any booth at SHOT Show. Guess what? Some booths will be like, no, I already have my own soda. But other ones will be
Mhm.
like, I will never forget you because you brought me an ice cold Coke in the middle of SHOT Show.
Okay,
You didn't have to.
show up, show up. All right, here's the thing along that very same line. Find a company, talk to them, hang out with them at Great American Outdoor Show. Go out and bring in outside food for them. They will be so happy. Go out and go, hey, listen, I'm going to such and such whatever frick food they want. Do a food run for them. That they don't have to get anybody out of their booth. You go and bring back hot food. Hey, you're in. I don't know what it'll do, but it'll at least make you memorable. And then when you see them at SHOT, at Goals, at GunCon, hey, what's up, man? Hey, we're still thinking about that place that got da da da. Whatever. Look, make yourself useful. Everybody's there creating content or asking for stuff to be sent out to them to do reviews on or whatever. Make yourself sing, make yourself unique. Might work, might not, but my whole thing is cool. Try it. I've got what, a decade of doing this now, and it's really cool. I just got contacted today. I'll be staying with the guys at High Point in Harrisburg doing the Great American Outdoor Show this
Well, okay, so that transitions me into the other part I wanted to bring up. So I brought up Outcast
year.
comment. I think I lost it now because I didn't start anymore. But basically saying that it's expensive. And I don't think I'm not
Hmm.
disagreeing with anything you said. Like, all your points about SHOT and like what you're saying with Chris, like SHOT versus the other shows is valid.
Hmm.
And I always used to say it's less of a thing now because the cycle is continuing. But I used to say, again, when I started going to SHOT, 2005 was my first year going as media, and I had to, in the process of proving that I was media, because they're used to saying like, where's your press card? In 2005 it was
Hmm.
like, where's your press card? And I'm like, I don't have a press card, I have a dozen websites or whatever I had back then. And they're like, what does that mean? And I literally had a conversation. I haven't talked about this in a while. I literally had a conversation with the company. It's not actually SHOT Show. That it's not NSSF that does SHOT Show. NSSF contracts with promoters, I guess, that do SHOT Show. So back then, I don't know if it's the same promoter, but it was a promoter, the promoter at the time, because they've gone through them and they've cycled around. There's not that many promoters that can handle SHOT Show, and I know that I don't keep track, but at some point, at some number of years, I figured out that it's not always the same infrastructure. Like, they have different companies that do this. But anyway, that first year when I went, they were like, whoever it was like, how do we know that you even own these websites? And we had this back and forth, and I basically educated them. I showed them a couple of tools that were available that would let someone know, like them, who owns a website at the time, so that, because that was something that could be known at the time if you asked the internet, so that they could verify people like me who were media, but not necessarily media with some legacy or what we used to call, what do we call it back then? Not just mainstream. I think we called it something else back then. But
Alternative media.
yeah, maybe that was it. So I was one of the first people let in. Like there was Gun Blast was let in as media, and so was the other guys I mentioned, Military Moron and Milspec Monkey, and SMG Lee. That's the guy I never remember. Those guys were all let in because they also had press cards, so they were press, but they also did the internet. And I was like, I guess I technically could have got a press pass, but I just never did. So anyway, that was like, I always start my story with like that. Like originally, SHOT Show didn't even they didn't recognize the internet as media, and I like to say, at least as far as I know, I'm the one that showed them that the internet is media also. So they let us in, and we started going as media, and it would say, I forget what it said. It said internet media or something on it, on our first badges. And then a number of, and in those first years, taking a digital picture, this was a 1 megabyte picture camera. I had I think a Kodak 1 megabyte camera. And it wasn't like fancy. I was cheap and I was poor. So I bought whatever I could afford. It was not the high tech at the time, but it was, it was a digital camera compared to a regular camera. And you could tell because it looked like a toy compared to all the expensive ass, cameras with lenses and film and shit back in the day. But everybody else was walking around with cameras with film, dude, or the like $1 million digital cameras that existed back then. But either way, I was taking some, and back then you had to have a printed piece of paper with a signature of everybody who was in the picture. Yeah, I had to do that. We had to carry around a notebook of paper, and everybody was like, "I'm not signing that," and we couldn't take pictures of their booth. That's how it started. So anyway, it started like that. At some point, they got comfortable with digital pictures, and then they kind of figured out that the internet, and then it got to the point where it's like YouTube happened, and then I think for whatever, like, I can't remember anymore. 2009 was like we did 360 videos or something, 340 videos at SHOT Show, and the year before it was like 100. So like we quadrupled our shit, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can do videos at SHOT Show!" Ding, ding, ding. Because there was a couple of people doing them, but like we plastered it. We like made YouTube SHOT Show a thing in front of all these other YouTubers. So that's when What's His Face showed up, right? Because I was still bigger. In 9, I was still bigger than What's His Face. So he shows up, he's just getting bigger than me. Because in 9, well, anyway, so he gets bigger than me and then goes, and then Hickok comes along and he starts going 2 years later. And by then, like everybody kind of had like a whiplash, like, "Oh, YouTube, amazing." Or it was like, "YouTube, what?" And then it was like, "Oh, YouTube, amazing." And then it was like, "Oh no, YouTubers suck." But then like the 17-ish, 15, 17, something like that, people started going, "Oh, okay, we could use YouTube. Like, it's not miracle money, but we can use it." And then it turned into whatever it is today. But anyway, so there was this like weird evolution of SHOT Show understanding. I did this story horribly. I haven't done it in a while. But eventually, the long story short is we started getting like, at first you couldn't even like take the pictures. Then you had to like talk them into letting you take a picture. Then they understood the pictures and they were like, "Okay, take pictures." And then it turned into video and they were skeptical. And then it was like, "Okay, you can take the videos as long as like, everything's perfect and we close off the booth and nobody interrupts us." And then they figured out like, "Oh, we'll just make a section of the booth. These booths that cost $20,000. Let's just put an 8x8 section of it that just does nothing except for us to do YouTube videos with people." So like this evolution of the media at SHOT Show has like happened. And I used to always end this story with like, not because somebody said this is what you will do. YouTube certainly didn't say to do it this way, but that's just what happens. Like that's just the free speech, and that's just like capitalism, and that's like marketing, and that's like entertainment and culture and everything. That was just amazing. Like all this stuff just happened. And what happened is our culture changed and it evolved to the point where we were unaware, then we were apprehensive, then we were comfortable, then we were eager, then we were apprehensive because we got burned, then we became comfortable again, and with like a reasonable expectation, we became stronger and stronger with the tech. Now we literally fucking stream, like Clover and them stream at the show, right? Like you hang out with people that stream at the show. You've been to shows where you can, I don't know if you streamed, but you could have potentially streamed from the show if you wanted. And people are totally comfortable with that. And what's the evolution of that? What you just said, like the One Asshole I Don't Like has a show where it's like an entire day or something is just for media, and then the GOA does like a whole section that's like devoted to media. So like, you know, where it's like evolved to where the industry has absorbed media as part of SHOT Show. The evolution is new shows that have come along after SHOT Show are incorporating media in a whole like another level where they like, I'm going to say respect it or give it like its own time even, which is awesome. But, you know, it's still not where we need to eventually get. But yeah, I just putting that out there as like, this part's neat. And that's the part about going to SHOT that those other events can't give you, is that you're going to see or experience, I guess, be part of, you know, that part of it. I don't know what to call that, like the mountain, if all those other things are hills, or you know, like, you know, those are the first waves, the biggest wave, and then those are the second waves. I don't know how to describe that, but I don't want to make it sound like, I guess, going back to the whole concept of spending money, effort, and whatnot to go to SHOT. I'm not disagreeing with Tony. Like, there's those other shows, and like I say, they've even developed or evolved into where they're catering more to the relationship between media and the industry. So there's even more reason to go to those shows. But I think to give it like a perspective, or to give it like well, it has to be perspective, I guess, but something to compare to is experiencing SHOT. Because like we kind of said, the entire industry is in two big giant buildings. And I mean, it takes 2-3 floors on one building, and then like, you know, it's an entire big other building, but it is in two big buildings. So going to it lets you see what the industry is, pretty much all of it, minus some of the hunting, I guess, but pretty much all of it. And that's something that you probably have to go a couple of times to really understand it, to like really fathom it all or whatever, like make sure you've seen it all. A lot of times people go, I saw everything at SHOT. You start talking to them and they're like, oh, I didn't know there was 2 floors on that building. But you know, so I think that, and I'm not saying that's necessary, I'm just saying like it's got value. And I think that having that value is like a credential, I guess, technically, like something you can put on the wall, but it's also just for your own ability to understand the whole thing, to see how big the industry is. It's definitely worth going. Then I'll caveat with, if you're paying to go to SHOT Show, that's a choice, and it's not necessarily the only choice anymore. It never has been, but it certainly isn't anymore. And that can mean, in other words, if you don't want to pay to go to SHOT Show, that can be anything from having relationships with companies that pay the bills for you. In other words, you figure out how much it's going to cost you, and then you do some kind of work with companies that pay those bills, or you literally just work for companies. And I know plenty of people that go to SHOT Show, not as content creators, but, you know, working for a gun shop or working for something in the industry. Like I say, there's 60,000 people going. A lot of those are employees, but how many would you say are like owners of companies? Like at least 1,000, right? Like way more, probably, maybe 10,000 owners or something. So there's a lot of ways that you could like show up and help. Like, even if you were like, in other words, there's like, I think, I don't know what it costs, $200 to go to SHOT Show or something. But if you're a company, and especially if you have a booth, I think when you have a booth, they give you a number of like passes or whatever. But if you're just going to hang out and be like there, I think it's like a couple $100. But that kind of depends probably when you sign up to. Like, it's one of those things where you sign up at the last minute, it costs more. But you know, if they're going to bring 10 people, let's say, and let's say your gun shop is going to bring 4 people, I think that's realistic. But you might have a company that's not going to set up at SHOT, but they're going to bring 10 people because they have work to do. When you bring 10 people, you need like 2 of them just to keep the other 8, you know, available, like to help them and shit. Like, they're not all there strategically. Like, some of them are helping each other. So let's say Greg decides to flake and he doesn't show up. You could be like, hey, I'll go for Greg, you know, and like Greg's job was to make sure the car was ready for everybody on Thursday. You know, like he had some easy job, or his job was to like Tony's saying, like bring food to everybody every day. So they're like, yeah, you go to SHOT Show, you get room and board. We're going to not pay you to be there, but you have to bring us lunch every day. You know what I mean? So there's tons of that kind of stuff happening where you're literally helping somebody out, either a company or a gun shop or a range or who knows, and maybe even a content creator. honestly, hold a camera for somebody or something like that. So there's lots of ways to get there free, and then there's lots of ways to just get in if you've got the financial means to get there. And it could be as simple as talking to a gun shop and saying, how many people you bringing? And he's like, 7. And you're like, can you bring 8? I know lots of people that have done that before. There's content creators that started going that way.
Yeah, there's ways, man.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
then we're
there's
not even
opportunity.
talking. It's a little bit tougher with police departments, but if you're in any kind of department or whatnot, they used to be like, oh, you're in a police department, bring all 80 of your guys. They've cut back on that, but I'm sure it's like anything. Yeah, they cut back on it, but 8 guys, 9 guys, what do they care? If you can contribute, you know what I mean? Like, you might not be procurement officer, but if you know what you're talking about and you can hang out with your procurement guy for a minute and get his ear and be like, yeah, I'll go look at the shotguns for you, or I'll help you evaluate something at shot, or like we just talked about at the ranges where you can't get to all the ranges, I can get there and shoot something for you. You know what I mean? Like, there could be lots of ways to get your shot for free, or at least get in the door if you afford to get there.
But things, you got to work on it. You got to build relationships. Because I get asked a lot because I'm just a regular freaking dude. How do I get participate, bro? You got to add something, bring something to it that people want you there, or you know what I mean? Like you're an asset. Just showing up because you want to show up because you like guns. Well, shoot, lots of people like guns. What are you going to help with?
Well, that's
My
the perfect
first
way to say
time,
it, be an asset.
yeah, my first time I got offered to go to SHOT was in the late '90s. A friend of mine from the gym, his dad worked for a company and they needed help at SHOT. And this is just a guy I know from the gym where, hey, my dad needs help. But I was working for my family's company and missing days out in January was not something we could afford to do for that many days, Um, small business problems. I mean, truthfully, now, especially if I'd have known how it ended, yeah, I would have gone. But at that time, it was like the family business. We were kicking ass, um, taking it to the next level kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, I'll be there for them. And whatever. Do I have do I wish I would have gone anyway just to have the experience? Yeah, because I ended up working for my family's business, like you do. And it is what it is. Uh, yeah, I just got a text message. Yeah, we're not doing the show tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I still don't want to keep you all night.
Yeah.
We're at 2. We'll see how good we can do on this. I was going to throw in there, I guess, that, dang it, I forgot what I was going to throw in there. Oh, I guess I was going to say I was just going to wrap it up with, I feel like I've done my obligatory kind of defense for SHOT Show. There's a lot of people that like to crap on it, and I always want to defend it because it is amazing. And the mostly the time, at least, I haven't met too many people that have been and also shit on it, unless like somebody pissed on their Wheaties or something. Like that one guy got kicked out. He probably bitches about it. Like I can't remember what that guy was. Remember the years ago, that one guy, he pissed off like one of the 1911 guys, like Ed Brown or somebody.
Oh, yeah. Weapons education.
Some
That's
rich
who it
guy.
was.
He was a rich guy that
And
had a
he had,
channel, and he
yep.
would always talk about his like fancy guns. Did he like shoot him in the
Oh,
swamp? Some shit. I can't remember.
I started watching him when he was brand new, right? So I mean, I go back.
Everybody
And
did.
he went
He came around when everybody was cool. Like he came around at a cool time.
yeah.
So yeah.
And he had money and he was buying top of the line things. And he bought a bear. No, what is it?
Les Bear. Was that what it is?
Les Bear. Yep, Les Bear. He bought multiple Les Bears and he wanted to interview Les Bear. And Les Bear was not interested. And
Because
he
back
was like,
then, everybody was like, I don't give a shit about the internet. Like the internet, that's no.
And he was like, you know how many Les Bears I own and how many high end. You really don't care. It's Les freaking Bear. Because I had the audacity to walk up to their booth and ask to speak to them and see if I could get one. And they were like, oh, we don't really need the advertisement. I'm like, okay. It's a
Kind of
Les
like walking
Bear.
up to Cole. Hey, you want some help advertising your name?
Well, my whole thing is you want help putting guns in people's hands when they can choose from other manufacturers or yours. Because again, I'm between Philly and New York City. We have people with money that won't blink an eye dropping 5 grand on something
Yeah.
unique.
You don't have to be poor to shoot a gun for the first time. In fact, it's probably
Yeah.
not the same, not a prerequisite at all.
And I'm like, well, how cool would it be for me to introduce somebody to firearms at 20 years old, and one of the first guns they shoot is a Les Bear, and it becomes their grail gun because they tested it as a kid, and 10 years later they own several. That's what I'm trying to build up for you.
I just thought of
And at the
something.
same time,
I just
go
looked
ahead.
up here. I'm interrupting you because I just noticed that the time went to 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. Just as I was thinking something. How many diversity shoots? You had 2 a month throughout the year. So let's just say 24, maybe 25 if the number's easier to deal with. And then how many new shooters do you think, like unique new shooters at each one? Like, because I know every once in a while somebody will show up more than once, but would 10 be a normal number? Is it more
Oh,
like
easy.
20?
Yeah.
Is it up to
10,
20
10
or?
is an easy number.
Okay. So if we
Well,
say
I
10
limit the
times
tickets to 20.
25,
Mhm.
then that would be 2,500. Am I doing my math right?
No, it's 250.
No. 25 events times 10. Oh, is 250? Is that it?
Yeah, 250 unique people touching your stuff at range days where they don't have to provide personnel. They don't have to fly
Well,
somebody
I was
out.
going to
They don't
say,
have to have
like,
someone at the ring.
get a t-shirt or a hat or something that says, like, I put guns into 250 hands of New Yorkers and New Jerseyans each year or something like that. So, like, as you walk up, that's what they're reading. Like,
Mhm.
immediately know your deal that, like, this is how many hands I'm putting guns into.
Yeah. I just got my numbers back from Eventbrite for the year. Yeah, 500 and change tickets sold.
And then, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, now they're looking at that as, oh, this guy's essentially not a salesman, but you know what I mean? Like, he's got that many hands out there that are putting a gun into for the first time.
Yeah, over 500 people over a decade. We're in the thousands of people now that have, and that's the people that purchase tickets just through Eventbrite, not the 4, 5, or 6 that go, can I show up with cash? Like that number goes up as you go along. You know what I mean? So yeah, can I just bring cash? And I'm bringing, like I bought a ticket, but they're out. And can I bring my mom or my uncle or the guys from work? And we just pay cash. Yes, you can.
So
Oh,
New Yorkers or Outcast is saying
absolutely.
not everyone with a business is cool or a people person. They pay, lots of them pay
Mm-mm.
other people to deal with that. Oh, for sure.
Yep.
I'm not sure what he's because we got lag and who knows because we've gone on different tangents and stuff. But I'm thinking that is a way to show up at SHOT. Like I can't tell you how many people, especially business owners who are like the creator of something, you know, they were there to create a thing or to come up with a cool business plan or something or to like accomplish something, but not to be the figurehead, not to be the talking guy. So, you know, they'll either hire, you know, somebody that's a known person or just some guy or some girl, right? And her gig is to be that person. So I don't know if that's
Mhm.
what he's talking about, but yeah, certainly if you wanted to be that type of person, like the what do you call that? Like the not the is it a figurehead? The main person though,
The face.
the face, yeah, thanks, of a company. Like, yeah, there's a lot of companies. All you got to do is not even have to jive. Well, I mean, you have to jive with them, but a lot of times they'll just, you know, they kind of hire people, you know, for that gig. You don't have to necessarily live near them or nothing because you meet up with them at the shows. And that's probably a
Oh, my.
relationship that can be created by just hyping them up, you know, like just in doing your thing. And, you know, any company that's, again, looking for somebody like that, what are they going to do? They're going to start looking around in comments and who's commented on our stuff, who's defended us when there's fights been breaking out, you know what I mean? And not hard to become one of the biggest advocates for, I don't know, think of like Caltech. Everybody picks on Caltech or High Point or something, right? And,
Mhm.
you know, I'm sure that, well, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? If they task somebody at the business to go out and find somebody who's going to, you know, want to go to shows for us with us, then, yeah, I could see that being a thing.
So
I don't know if
yeah,
I
I'm
know
sorry. It's
anybody
over.
specifically, but I bet you if I thought about it for a
Correct.
minute, I could think of some examples of close to that even.
Yeah, I actually looked it up. I'm sorry. It was over 300 and something people per year. Last year purchased tickets, not four.
But I think there's something to that. Like you say, well, obviously they're adults enough to be able to go shooting, but a lot of them are purchasing whatever you call that. Like, I don't know what you call that demographic, or if there's another name for that, but like, in a position to be making a purchasing, to, in the
Hmm.
place to be making a purchasing decision, however the hell you say that. Um, like I say, people that are in business, they got to be looking at that as, where else do we have that? You know, most of the other places, it's maybe a range where like an indoor range or something would have that potential for people to be walking in off the street. Maybe an instructor, but you know what I mean? It's a lot harder for someone to go, I don't know nothing about guns. Let me figure out that there are gun instructors, contact one and ask to be introduced to guns. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of ask where you're out there basically doing the whole. Actually, when's the last time? I think we have assumed that quite a bit. I don't know if 2.5 hours into the show is the time to do it, but maybe when we're leaving, take another
Hmm.
couple extra minutes and just do like a description of what the diversity shoot is all about, or 2A for E.
Yeah, sure.
Just for like the record, because I do occasionally throw this into the robot. Yankee, I think, told me that YouTube will chop it up now, and if that's or StreamYard will chop it up, and if StreamYard will
Okay.
chop this up, then if I only got to push a button, because I do make shorts that way by robots doing it. So you know what I mean. When we're ending the show, it hopefully will just take that chunk and turn it into a short or whatever for you. Okay, so I had some stuff started. I think I got all that. If I'm missing a comment or a question, I've been really sloppy today. I've had stuff going on in personal life, so my head ain't in the game lately.
Mhm.
But I want to take a second real quick and say, if you've got people out there, you're not guaranteed nothing. So squeeze them people, give them hugs and kisses. If you got little critters, grab them, give them a hug and a kiss, extra treat once in a while. But that being said, we've got two things I was going to bring up here, and let me know if this is dumb. We won't do it again. But they were things that I noticed just today, basically. So I left them on my screen. And then when we started the show, I figured let's try doing this. So I got two of them here. One's the suppressor thing, and one's about Minnesota. So let's go with the suppressor thing first. And this is Cam and Company, which is what do you call it? Like a radio show, podcast? I don't know if there's a difference
Yeah,
anymore.
podcast. Hmm.
I don't know if he's on the radio anymore, but he started on the radio, I'm pretty sure. And then it turned into a podcast like a lot of things do. But he's every day. Like he's a gun show pretty much every single day. And he's got on Knox, the guy then created the American Suppressor Association back in like 2010 or 11. And they're having a conversation here that it is 2 minutes long. It'll sound like a long time because we're listening to it, I think, but I think it's worth chatting about. And if you want, I can pause. The other one I'm definitely going to pause because it's not so much just to play the article to play it, but to kind of dissect it. So if there's something in here that you think is worth pausing, then let me know. But otherwise, there might be a place that I'm going to remember and pause here, but not just the data we're going to get from this, but some commentary.
January 1st, the $200 tax on most NFA items disappeared. It's been zeroed out. And, we saw, I think an NSSF reported January 1st, ATF processed 150,000 e-forms, which is pretty incredible. I mean,
So what was that time frame? Dang, I think I can go back.
I think an NSSF reported January 1st, ATF
January 1st, right? One day.
processed 150,000 e-forms,
Mhm.
which
The startup I wanted to really chat about is way towards the end. I just wanted to play from the beginning because that is just an interesting thing, right? 150, whatever he said, 1,000 forms on the first day.
150,000. Mhm.
around 80 or so.
So I jumped really far ahead because they kind of blabbed for a second and then
All forms that were submitted. So that's manufactured first time in their lives.
here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all things considered, it's been going very well. So that 150,000 number, that includes all forms that were submitted. So that's manufacturer's forms, that's forms to SOT, that's
Form 1s and Form 4s, kind of all of that stuff. So that's the number that they received holistically. Okay. I think of that, there were around 80 or so thousand Form 1s and Form 4s. That's what is considered a tax paid transfer, even though there's no longer a tax on SBR, suppressors, short barrel shotguns, and AOWs. But yeah, man, for the first time in 91 years, this is the most exciting New Year's that we've had in this community. So we're very excited about it. And I think that the ATF deserves a tremendous amount of credit, for doing such a good job transitioning to that. Has it been perfect? Absolutely not. It's a new day for them. The demand is about 3 to 4x what it normally is for them.
I thought that was interesting. So he abbreviated the number, focused it into what we care about is 80,000, which is still a massive number for one day. But he said that's 3-4x. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a trickle normally. Like, there's a massive flow if that's what is 4x. So that would be 20,000 in a day normally. So that's just interesting. I'm going to keep going.
But to their credit, NFA Division Chief Stephen Albro has basically given blanket overtime to NFA examiners to say, hey, work as much and as long as hard as you want to be able to attack this and make sure that it is as smooth as possible. And I think over time, as that immediate surge dissipates, you're going to see that level off. The question in our industry is really, where is that new floor going to be?
Okay, so 20,000 suppressors going through on it every day. I think that
Crazy.
we're taking that for granted. We're not paying enough attention to that. Like, such an amazing, that's like how we have so few gun accidents, like some, period, plus deaths from accidents is like so few compared to the number of guns and gun owners and lack of what people would consider rules and laws and shit. That we don't address that enough, but this is amazing, right? Like, and now, like you said, they're able to handle 4x, which is up to whatever 80,000 the first day. So I guess 2 questions. Feel free to. I'm just presenting. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I'm just presenting with you for the first time live in front of everybody. Feel free to react however you want. But I guess my question is going to be to you and everybody else out there: does this affect or change your opinion on whether or not you're going to grab some suppressors in 26?
No, it doesn't change my opinion at all. I can't do it because legally I can't own them. So I'm out of the loop. My entire state's out of the loop until we win the next lawsuit. And who knows how they're going to stop us from doing that. So the answer for me is going to be no. But I understand what people would.
Oh shit, yeah, sorry. See, that's why I'm glad I'm chatting with you all the time. I mean, I chat with you every week and I'm still going to ask you that question like a dumbass. Because I'm used to just having them, except for you. Wait, do I talk to anybody else in other states? I guess I technically do. I guess maybe we just don't have these kind of, I'm going to call them unscripted, just conversations, right? Like, we're not, except for a couple of points or whatever, we're just chatting here. But I don't think about that because I'm talking to people in Arizona all the time. And if somebody wants to go buy a can, they literally, just walk over to the store or whatever, make a phone call, and the can's waiting for them probably at this point. So I apologize for that, for being so dumbass about it. And for all the others, there's whatever we did the math, right? 40 million people in the country that I just disregarded, without even thinking about it. And that's part of, that's definitely something to shine light on. That's one of the reasons we're, I don't want to say fractioned because I don't think that's the right word, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of us that just we take some shit for granted. We don't think about it. And if we got a little bit more pissed once in a while, we could hopefully affect some change to those 40 million, whatever it is, 40% of the country. Can't be 40 million if it's 40%. I forget what the numbers we looked up there.
Well, we did a thing about the states that had these restrictions on it, magazine limitation restrictions and assault weapon restrictions. Came out to 10 states and 70 million people, I think it was.
Yeah.
So my hey, I'm happy. It annoys me, especially as a 2A advocate and a 2A absolutist. It annoys me that you'd have to get a license or permission anyway, or even pay a tax on it. But dude, I get why people are excited about it. But the crazy thing is, here in New Jersey, most people would have gladly paid $200 just to have the opportunity to own short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, or suppressors. And that's one of the most frustrating and annoying parts, that we'll gladly pay for our rights, and people will stop at that. Oh, cool, they let us do it. All right, we'll pay it. No, it's supposed to be free. Yeah, but you got to take the win when you can find it. That's not a win. It's not really a win. It's. I don't know, what do you call it. All right, we're getting where we want to go slowly, but I'm not going to go. It's a win, and we can stop marching now. We can stop pushing back. We can stop calling our reps, because we can now pay for this right. I'm like, no. That was never a win. It should be free. It should be just like you buy a freaking weapons mounted light. Is same way you should be able to pick up your freaking any accessory. It's just another accessory. Imagine having to get a license just to have a weapons mounted light, or high vis sights, or stippling done, or buy new grips. That's how ridiculous it should be to everybody. Not, hey, we don't have to pay a tax stamp now. We just have to do the paperwork and allow them to track us. Because you're still giving up all the same information. And I'm sorry, but they should be actually sold in a box right along with anything else on the Magpul shelf. And as you go down, it's like, boom, suppressors.
Yeah, I don't like flashlights and like a spare magazine or something. Or sights, I guess, right? It's just another thing. And I can't imagine I don't want to jinx nothing. I'm not Clover, but the path seems clear that we've taken a stride with I want to call it like slipping it into that big, beautiful bullshit. I didn't like most of that stuff in there. I wasn't a big fan of it necessarily, but I like a win for us. That's always nice. It wasn't the massive win that we could have got. If they would have left the whole thing in there, that would have been sweet. But again, I mean, there's always, you got to always take your punches and then get back up and see where you're at, reevaluate, right, and keep fighting. So we're in a much better position to see, like, if this thing is designed to be a tax and there's no tax, then why is it? You know what I mean? Like, you can't have both. You can't have it to be a tax. If there's no tax, it doesn't exist. So there's that element. But then just what we just mentioned, like the 20,000, whatever it is, Form 1s and 4s. So that means people creating SBRs and cans out of nowhere, or Form 4s transferring ones that exist from a gun shop usually, or from another person, I guess, to themselves, right? So that's a Form 4. Form 1, right? Am I right? Form 1 is like, I want to create a new SBR. I'm going to shorten something. I get my permission and I do it. Or I'm going to create a can out of parts or something and then get my Form 1, I can do it. Whenever you sell that thing, you got to form for it. Or whenever you buy a completed one from someone else, you form for it. So those forms in 1s and 4s essentially are either the creation of or the transfer of a thing, an NFA item, to an individual from another individual or a store. And usually it's a store. It's possible. Here's the thing. It's just like the bullshit numbers that they used to try to push off on me, which I never accepted, of how many gun owners there are based on FFL 4473s.
Yeah.
Because every time they make a new state requirement that you have to use a 4473 to transfer a gun between your friends or like your grandkids or whatever, then that creates a bullshit number of 4473s that then they use to suggest that on both sides, the antis will say, oh, look how many guns there are. These paranoid, horrible people have so many guns. And the gun side says, oh, look how many gun owners there are. And I think they're both bullshit, because all they did is create an extraneous obligation for like a grandpa when he wants to give his 4 shotguns to his 4 granddaughters. He has to fill out 4 4473s, and they make it act, one of them's going to claim that that's gun hoarders doing shit, and the other one's going to say that's 4 new gun owners. Technically, they're both right. But you know what I mean? In reality, neither one of them are right. They're both claiming it, and that's the kind of bullshit shit we have to deal with. And I think that's the same thing here. If you got a bunch of cans, right? They made cans cool because they are cool. They made it easier and they're cooler to stick on guns, so that's cool. They did make them cheaper. I don't care what anybody says. Cans used to cost a lot of money. Now they don't cost. They cost a lot. They used to cost a fortune. So they made them economical-ish. And then they made it easy-ish for sure. They definitely made it easier to get cans. So now there's a million cans or whatever. Well, here's what happens. You have to form for that. If Tony has a can, somebody in Arizona, sorry, has a can, how rude of me to immediately go back to that. Somebody in Arizona has a can and they want to give it to me. They can't because I have to form for it to me. So then they form for it to me. Well, that didn't make a new can. That just made a new form for. So when we see 20,000 form fours, right, that don't mean 20,000 new cans. That just means I had 12 cans, but I don't like them anymore. So I'm dispersing them. So my 12 cans made 12 more form fours if they went to 12. I think even if they didn't put a form. No, I think if they went to one person, it would be one form four, but whatever. Technicalities, you don't have to guess, you know what I'm saying? That it does a lot of form fours just means a lot of tax to the government. And it means a lot of somebody has to sit around on overtime like he was talking about, but it don't necessarily mean more cans. So I don't want to suggest that we have more cans than we do, but I also don't want to suggest that we don't have a shit ton of cans. We have a lot of cans in this country. And I guess that's all I'm getting at is even if we look at the most conservative number, it's just an insane like number of cans, exponential amount of cans more than it was in the 80s or 90s or even the 2000s. Like cans are comfortably, what's the word, commonplace or whatever. So there's no reason for the NFA. So. There's nothing unusual about cans. There's nothing dangerous about them. If they were dangerous, we'd know it. If short barrel rifles were dangerous, we'd know it. There's not as many SBRs, but there's almost as many SBRs. People are as comfortable with SBRs. Most people, legislators, representatives, or regular people on the street who hate guns or could care less about guns, most gun owners can't tell the difference between a pistol, an SBR, and a short barrel rifle and a pistol with a brace, period. Like that's just the way it is. Like you have to be at like 30% of gun owners to be even able to identify the difference between those four.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's just a dumb, hard thing to do. So there's no way that somebody's going to suggest that here's four things on the table. That's the dangerous one. Yeah, whatever. Like there's a shit ton of all of these everywhere. You can't tell me that one's so much dangerous that it needs a $200 tax stamp. Anyway, all I'm getting at is there should be no NFA by the end of the year. I mean, unless I want to jinx it. Like I say, I'm not Clover. I'm not jinxing nothing. But I can't imagine we're still going to have an NFA. There's no reason for it. And at this point, it's like we had a table and we've kicked out 3 legs. I can't understand why it's even up anymore. That being said, I listened to this video and I'm super happy. I hope a ton of people get cans, but there's just something about my guts that won't let me, you know what I mean, fill out the form. Until we don't have to, until you don't have to, like you said, until it's like a magazine, until it's like, I like cans. Oh, I don't like cans. I like to hear the gunshots. Oh, I like to buy a 40 decibel can. So it's like, I only get rid of some of the gunshot, but you know what I mean? Like that's going to happen. People are going to be like, oh, I like to really get rid of it. Like, oh no, that blah, blah, blah. I like to get rid of half of it. Like that'll happen when we're printing cans, when there's like a little printer at the back of most ranges where it's like, when you're renting tennis balls at one of those places, like, hey, can I get 12 cans? Oh, am I going to need 12? No, let me get 14 cans. Like, I think I'm going to shoot an extra box. Can I get 2 22 cans and 5 45 cans? Oh, I guess what I'm referring to is like Glock made a plastic can back in the day out of that Glock plastic where you would just jam it on the front of your gun and it would last for like a magazine or two. And then it would start to sound loud. You would yank it off and throw it away and put a new one on. So you might use 4 or 5 while you're shooting in an afternoon, but they cost nothing. Like, they cost like $1 or $2. At least that's what I'm envisioning, right? Like you go there and you just like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot suppressed so I don't have to wear earphones. Okay, throw that one away. Put a new one on.
There's nothing wrong with that. They shouldn't be that expensive, especially when you look at what they started off as, like a tube with mesh wire in it and a couple of washers. That's effective for semi-automatic or bolt-action low-pressure firearms. So, hey, I'm going to shoot 45 ACP out of this single-shot Thompson Center, and I'm going to put my homemade can on it. That thing would be movie quiet. And yeah, if you just introduce your nephew John to firearms for the first time, you gave him this lightweight thing. But excuse me, well, lightweight is in it's not as heavy as a full size rifle. It has this barrel on it. He can shoulder it, shoot it, and it didn't have a lot of kick, didn't make a lot of noise, didn't have concussion, and he hit the target. And now he has a grin that's spreading from. He can swallow his whole head. His grin's so big. That's one of the reasons they fight it so hard, because it'll make shooting firearms and introducing the people to firearms easier. It'll make ranges quieter. There's nothing but positives. The only negatives are stuff you make up. Like it's
If
movies.
you don't
It's
know about
essence.
guns, yeah, if you don't know about
Mhm.
guns, you can. Otherwise, it's ridiculous to think any of the stuff they think about cans.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be truly ignorant, and sadly, there are many people that are willfully ignorant about firearms. Like
Well, but I
they
guess that's what
wear
I'm
their
getting at. Is
ignorance.
with the number of cans that are out there, it's just going to be so difficult. You know what I mean? Like pretty soon,
Oh
somebody
yeah.
in movies, like in one of these TV shows or something, will be like shamed. I guess like they'll do something like put a hot can in their pants, right? And then it'll be mocked on the TVs, like on the internet. Ha 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 ha! They just jammed like a hot can into their pants. They don't know what they're talking about. There's supposed to be a realistic show. That ruined it for me. And then the next time they do it, like they'll go, that director or whoever, or that set person or whatever will be like, oh no, we have to be realistic. So, we'll have to make it where the criminal can't use a can because it makes it a massively hot thing that they have to deal with afterwards. Like it literally could catch something on fire in some circumstances. And then they're like, oh crap, you know what I mean? And then perception, what, the Overton window or whatever. I guess that's what I'm saying is there's just so many cans out there that at some point they'll just look like fools if they keep doing this. I mean, think about like shooting a car and it exploding. Do you ever see that shit happen anymore? I mean, they're trying to
Mm-mm.
be realistic and they know that that's like buffoonery. Like that's just so over the top that it makes it like the A Team. They'd like, you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't be a realistic show anymore. So they're trying really hard. Like they'll do backflips to not, oh, what was it? I was listening to something on NPR because it's the only thing I listen to. It's anti really that they said something like, they were interviewing a guy who does a show about an emergency room show, like a TV show about emergency
Mhm.
rooms. And they're talking about some scene. And it's like the son was at home playing with a gun that his dad left out, of course. And he shot himself, of
Mhm.
course. And the scene was about the kid was scared that he would get in trouble for playing with the gun all the way up until he died on the operating table. And then just like, and then they just walked on with like blah blah blah. How do you write such an amazing scene or whatever? Like, oh, I'd like to be as realistic as possible, and I just think about what's on the news and what's happening in every day, and I just write authentically about
Mhm.
it. And I'm like, except that fucking hardly ever happens. You have to pull that out of your like fake ass, news stories, like to come up with some horrible thing you think is going to happen, because in reality, I mean, that hardly ever even
Yeah.
happens in 2026. It's like been a long time since that's been a thing because nobody is that callous or stupid to leave that shit around, right? So anyway, that kind of stuff is where they're still able to do that. They're still able to have that conversation because there's not enough people who understand the reality. They're not the numbers or whatever. And I mean, obviously this is super nerdy, so I can't really. I'm not blaming nobody. That's just me picking at something, but
Well,
I'm using that as an example. If they tried to say like, oh, they shot at a car with a 9mm and the gas tank got hit and it exploded, like happens every day on the streets, like they'd look like idiots and they'd be laughed off of NPR. You know what I mean? Like buffooned on Saturday Night Live or something is like just dumb. So at some point with the cans, that's going to happen. I guess I'm using weird examples, but I think that's, cans are just so mainstream that they're not going to be able to pull off this stupid shit about cans. And I think that I mean, I don't see it too much in movies anymore, except for like, I can't remember was it Wick maybe, where they're walking down, like one guy's at the one level and the other guy's like at the second floor and they're shooting at each other with a crowd around.
yeah.
Like that gets
Hmm.
buffooned. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty popular movie and like we'll buffoon that. So at some point they're going to figure out that like they can't pull that shit off anymore.
Yeah, that was really stupid. Um, I'm liking it, and I hope it happens, but it needs people like on podcasts and shows and in the comment section to point it out and go, "Hey, go goof on that and make a big deal about it." Um, because these networks and producers and production companies get paid to push agendas. I didn't know this. And I discovered maybe even through, I don't even know how I found it out, but it was through a source that I trust. And then I listened, and they were like, look, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation actually pays production companies like a stipend if they don't have someone smoking cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like they have agendas they want, and if that stuff isn't included in your production, you get some money.
Interesting.
So all of a sudden, you're
Like
not doing
social, whatever. Like I don't know what to call that. Like social manipulation, I guess. I don't know if that's too
Yes.
negative a word, but like social manipulation through funding, which is
Yes.
an interesting thing of capitalism, an element of capitalism that is an element of capitalism. I don't know if it's good or bad.
So the person telling this made the connection to the Second Amendment for me. Damn, I hate when I learn something I can't give someone credit for it. They said, pay attention to the anti-gun stuff. The stuff that shows gun owners in a bad light, private gun ownership, like it's a bad thing. It is not there because all of Hollywood feels like private gun ownership is dangerous. It's there because they're getting paid by organizations.
I see what you're saying. Same as like product placement. Like, hey, if you include Pepsi, we'll give you $1,000. Or if you say, dumbass gun owner left a gun laying around, we'll give you $10,000.
So I'm like, really? So I'm looking, and this came about, and it was great too because it made me turn the TV off. And this was the first year of Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0, and I think there was a third show that came on. That network that night, and all of them had stupid anti-gun messages, like blatant anti-gun messages, one after the other, like the shows back to back. One was civilian firearms, something. Oh, court. They were in court, and somebody came in and took them hostage, or a bank or something. Anyway, the civilian gun owner, when everything was totally under control, even though the cops were outside and people were inside still in danger, the civilian gun owner decides to pull their EDC and try to stop the crime. And of course, because they didn't know what they were doing, they screwed it all up and people were killed. And of course, they got to put that line in the show. And then the other show had a Bill Bazarian type of dude, if you still remember him, the kid with the money that won it through poker, was almost a Navy SEAL, had lots of firearms. They had a character like him, lots of firearms, social media presence, girls. Somebody was stealing his guns out of his house and using them in crimes, and he didn't know because he was an irresponsible gun owner because he had so many. Like just dumb crap like that. And those were the shows back to back. One was Magnum PI, the other was Hawaii Five-0. I know that definitely. And I'm looking at the show, knowing what I know, going in Hawaii, that dude wouldn't have been able to carry that gun because it's impossible to freaking conceal carry legally in Hawaii. So you're pushing an agenda that probably wouldn't even have happened in real life. But yeah, that not because that's the way all of Hollywood feels. They're getting paid to put that perspective in, and why not? They don't care. It gets their production.
If they don't care,
right?
then yeah, or even if they like it a little bit, they're probably like, "Fuck yeah, I'll say whatever you want."
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know what the price is on that, but yeah, it's like $50,000. Well, that makes a lot of a difference. That's craft services. That's food for that, or that's just money they don't have to dip into for their production. And I'm just pulling, and if it's that much an episode, that's real money.
Well, it's smart and it's manipulative or conniving, whatever. I don't know what the right words are, but I mean, it is effective, right? Like smart in that respect that it seems to have worked or things. So,
well, you don't know you're getting this messaging, right? You don't even know
right?
this is, yeah, you didn't even know this was an agenda. It's just, and I just been told that, and that's the only reason I picked up on it.
I'm super curious. I'm gonna look into this. New York Outcast saying that movies have been used for propaganda for decades. Lots of information out there on it. I think he's talking about like,
Yeah.
if it's thinking about what I'm thinking of is like, there's either the CIA or somebody like that has mentioned, has whatever, I don't say brought out, but I think people have been interviewed about the fact that like, yeah, like they'll be brought in as experts or like something. And basically if they like the movie, like Top Gun or something, then it would be like, yeah, use the aircraft carriers, use the airplanes and all this. And, like they're, what's the word? Like they'll facilitate anything that's needed if they like
Yeah.
the message. And then they've also probably said like, hey, would you mind saying this? So I know that part of it, but I haven't heard about what you're specifically talking about before. So if he's talking about there's lots of data on this, I'm definitely going to be looking for it because I'd never heard of that. But I mean, I have heard of what he's talking about. And if it's the same thing, that's curious because what the fuck's the CIA giving out that messaging for? But if it's something like Bloomberg, I really think I wish I was more of an investigative journalist, but was it on this show? I know that recently I decided to look up how much Bloomberg spent on anti-gun bullshit over the years and how much he made back, or his organizations that he spent the money on will make back with the, what was it called? The We Hate Guns, both bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Was that in here? I basically asked the robots, how much did Bloomberg make? Okay, like, it was basically this, he's making a wash. He's making money. He's making a couple of $1,000,000. So if he's behind it, then it just seems like another element of the marketing. The same way if like you want to sell pots and pans, you're going to run a Facebook or a YouTube ad about your pots and pans. Like if you're going to try to run this scam where like, well, I hate guns a little bit and I can manipulate a bunch of people through emotions to hate things, period. So let's focus it on guns. Let's pay some chick who ran Monsanto. Let's not forget where what's her face came from. She came from Monsanto, trying to sell everybody on the idea that like, what was it? Roundup is cool. Hey, Roundup ain't that bad. Roundup's cool. I love guns. I hate guns so much. I'm going to go hate guns for a living. Like, oh, okay. I bet you she made less money hating guns than she made making Monsanto money. You know what I mean? Like that just makes no sense that like he's gonna create this machine that hates guns for a living, basically gets a bunch of, how do you like, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna spend some money basically on marketing and advertising to create events where you have a very few people show up to coordinate a shit ton of volunteers who show up and buy your shirts, right? And fund your shit to show up and make your noise heard, and especially if you don't give a shit about the country or like the effect of your rant. Like if they were ranting about swimming pools or something, would any of us care? Like if it was like mayors against swimming pools and like Bloomberg hates swimming pools and moms demand action against swimming pools, we'd probably be like, yeah, I think unsafe swimming pools are a problem. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't give a shit, but they went after us. So we have to care about this and we have to focus on it. But essentially the guy spent whatever it was, $240 million over the years. And it sounds like if that's the case, if he was the one behind this, like sending money to the TV shows to try to make this perception, that guns are bad and gun owners are buffoons trying to want to be cosplay cops or something, then again, that's sort of like just putting out Facebook ads for your set of books or your set of knives or something. Try to make your money back on your investment by seeding the public opinion towards whatever it is you're selling over there, the shirts you're selling. Very much social engineering, but social engineering I kind of think of as like savvy or like the individual trying to manipulate a person or something, but maybe like a con man manipulating like a group of people at some kind of seminar. I just don't think of it as like the national stage with a guy with billions of dollars creating organizations that go out and make noise constantly. But it all kind of, you know what I mean? Once you start looking at it with time involved, it starts looking like interesting how you did all this shit and you're just getting all your money back. Like you threw all this money out of your wallet and it all went back in your wallet. Like it's interesting. Like how did that happen? Like, oh, wonder. Interesting. Like it's cool how hating guns sort of was a wash for him.
Yep.
No big deal. I wonder if the soda was a wash. Like what other shit did he hate?
Yeah. Douchebag. I still love the fact that he what the frick? what the hell? It was still great because it was when he decided he was going to do the soda thing and asked for a large soda or something like this in New York when he was the mayor. And the pizza shop owner that he was doing the photo shoot was like, "Nah, it's a large. We don't sell those. You can't have one, thanks to your regulation." He was like, "Give me an effing soda." It's like, go F yourself. Like, this is New York, dude. Yeah, you were there. You passed some law that made you can only sell sodas this big, and then you go there to have a slice of pizza for a photo op to show what kind of regular guy you are, and didn't even want to follow your own rules.
Oh man, so we're 3 hours into the show, and I got this other one. This other one is 2 minutes long. We don't have to listen to it if we don't want, though. It is. She's a Minnesota state representative, and this says Border Commander Greg Bovino. So I think that's the guy that runs
Yeah,
Border Patrol, right? Have you seen this
I don't
interaction?
know who he is. I saw about 60 seconds of it, if that. Go ahead if you want to play it.
Okay, it's 2 minutes, and it's not that I don't want to like mock either one of them, but I think that it's an example of like neither one of them cared about listening to the other position, and it's
Mm-hmm.
glaringly obvious. And I think about I'm going to say halfway. I don't really remember because I only watched it once. I didn't want to ruin it by like dissecting it or whatever. But I think about halfway through, this guy essentially, because I'm on this guy's side, obviously, like I don't give a shit what some anti-gun chick is going to complain about. But I want to understand her position, so at least I can try to do something, right? About halfway through, you could tell this guy gives up and starts poking her buttons, and that's what I wanted to talk about. So, yeah, if it's 2 minutes, if nobody cares, I'll play it, I guess. And then just give us some feedback if it's worth doing these again, because I don't know if this adds to the show or if it's just lame, like too many people do this kind of stuff.
Well, I'm a former member of the
And I have no idea what the setting is. This is on Crumps, and it starts right here. So I don't know. Do you know anything about where this came from? I'm assuming this is in Minnesota, but it could be
No, I
in
just saw it was Minnesota. I saw Minnesota and it came up on it and I played it and I realized exactly what you did, that there was nothing constructive going on here. It was two people overlooking each other to push their position.
Yes, that's a great summary. So again, I don't know if it's worth anything, but I thought let's at least figure out where we're not doing what we could be doing, let's say, maybe.
Well, I'm a former member of the ACLU of Minnesota board, and I believe in the First Amendment.
Good.
Okay, so she says she's the former member of the ACLU, some kind of board about the First Amendment, so American Civil Liberties Union. And maybe that's why they're like, oh, you don't care about the Second Amendment.
About the Second Amendment. You believe in that one?
Don't have it.
You don't have just the ones that sue you there, Representative, right? What about that Second Amendment?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but we had a shooting in a school here.
So I think that's somebody who knows what's up there's a name for this, right? Like using a specific example as a parry or like an alternative to actually answering the question. And I don't know the words to that, but I think that's like a defense, or that's like a tactic. And, you can decide to go down the road with that person and off like on a tangent because that's where they want to go. They don't want to address the question, or you can stand firm and just say, well, what about the question I asked you? Or you could poke buttons or something. And I forget what he does. I think he just stands there.
Minnesota recently, and
What's that got to do with the Second Amendment?
Well,
right? And I think that's it's a little abrasive maybe, but it's valid, right? Like, who cares? Like, yes, that's a horrible thing, but you know what I mean? Like, are you going to bring up horrible things about anything else, like marshmallows or something?
well, I think that if we had some gun violence prevention law.
So at this point, he can tell that she can't figure out what she's stressing out, right? Like she can't get her words out. He's going on the attack. Like, there's no win here. Like, this guy is not helping anybody on her side because he's like, she can't get the words out. He's like, let me fucking go at you again. He should have just shut up there, been like, I think courteous, and been like, I understand, said something maybe like, I understand we're catching you off guard, so I appreciate you're taking the time, but I understand your position, blah, 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 right? Like, he could have been just a nice dude about this, but instead.
Say it's common sense. You?
Well, yes, I mean,
exactly.
And now she's willing to fight because she got her bearings again and he's coming at her, so she's going to defend herself, and she's not good at it, so she just says, yeah, I'm the boss of you.
And I think that's definitely the problem.
And he's like, fuck you, you're not the boss of me.
Was it? Well, I think the problem is that
And she's like, well, I have fucking some facts that I can't bring to my, like I can't bring to bear real quick because I'm not good at this, but I'm pretty satisfied that I'm right. And she's not able to, and he's just like already saying something else. Look, he's not even looking at her.
When you use that violent rhetoric around children.
I love that he's saying like violent rhetoric around children, but he just did it wrong. Like it's like a good thrust or whatever. He just did it at the wrong time where it's not even going to hit her. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm watching this, right? And this is about because he started using violent rhetoric. Go ahead, keep playing it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you want to say something. Feel free to I'm just keep stopping it. But if you want me to stop it, let me know.
Children, yeah, I'd say that you probably are not exercising a lot of confidence. It's a representative.
I'm here as volunteer for the Minnesota Youth in Government. And the point of Minnesota Youth in Government is to encourage children to participate in our civic institutions, to learn about them, to learn how to exercise their constitutional rights.
I do that. I do the same thing. I haven't interfered in anything, but I do the same thing. I take children to shooting ranges and I teach them to shoot, to exercise their Second Amendment rights that it seems like you want to take away.
I don't have strong opinions about the Second Amendment. I just care about
just the ones you want, right? And just those rights you think you need to care about.
Well,
but not the second. That's always the litmus test for me, folks. Always the litmus test.
I just want people.
And it's about to get ruined by the guy in the camera. Did you see that part?
No, that's where I stopped because they are talking over each other, and I have no idea what kind of affect she has on her speech, and I can't understand what she's saying.
Well, I think she's what's the word? Like she's trying to go off on like she's trying to address like stop. Like I don't know what to call it, but she's like trying to machine gun answer him, and he's kind of saying the same thing, but he's saying it in like a aggressive way, I guess. And I don't know if she's just a scared or not good, even though she's a representative. You think she'd be good at communication?
No, I mean,
just answering too many questions.
I'm here on like and it's like that whole like TikTok sing-songy affect on her voice instead of just speaking plainly.
I thought you meant because it seems like she's like she couldn't come up with what she wanted to say, so it's like she didn't stutter, but she like was trying to. I'm gonna say this. No, I'm gonna say this. No, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah, no, it's I just had hi guys. I found a wonderful product at the end of every sentence her voice raises up, and I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but you're in this echo chamber. Goober over here is talking over you, and it's like a little confusing. And then no, this is as far as I got because again, it's people talking over each other. He's not really making good points. He's saying what he is.
His points are all over the place. And he like you can like they say, like I think a couple of his points were good points, just not for this conversation, because he's just throwing stuff out there that he wanted her to say because he's not listening to her. And she's trying to respond to everything he said, but doesn't know what to say to any of them. So she's like, well, I'm going to say, oh, no, I'm going to say, she's just coming up with shit to say, but not finishing it. And anyways, and then I'll finish because it's about over, but this is where it gets ruined here.
Live in peace.
Me too. That Second Amendment does that.
Really? Well, all I've seen here in Minnesota is people dying, including children.
So again, like, Second Amendment is somehow children dying, but instead of addressing that,
what about the lives that are saved by guns?
No, this is okay actually, but not the best response. But at least wait till the guy in the camera says something. That's what I'm really addressing here.
You don't talk about that, do you?
Does anybody die from fentanyl?
Does anybody die from fentanyl? Well, I'm a big fan of like addressing fentanyl. You know what I mean? Like that's super important. Just like suicide is super important, but you immediately ruin. And I think this guy's like either thank goodness I'm done or you fucking idiot. Like what the hell? We were talking about one thing and now you went on a 90-degree and started talking about something else, which gives the person who doesn't want to be there an out. What the hell? You just gave them a reason to leave because you're being weird or whatever. You're talking about something completely different. So I'm all about using analogies and shit, but this, you should shut up as the cameraman. I know that enough to know that.
Well, here comes Captain Save-A-Ho to come in and save her from getting trounced by, again, Deputy Dog. And look, I get it. I get if he's a Second Amendment guy like we are, and you finally get to talk to one of these slime bags, and I will put her down. This is a political enemy of ours. And oh, what do you know? They're a political enemy. They're trying to shut down the Second Amendment, and she's trying to do it through youth and talking to kids and downplaying or even what do you call it? Villainizing the Second Amendment. Because all I see here is death. Because that's because that's all you want to see and all you want to concentrate on. And sometimes we get tired of being a nice guy. So here was his turn in front of a camera to just verbally slap her around. And instead of having cogent, instead of having like a flurry of 1-2 punches that actually hit, he was just throwing haymakers. And she was just not even rope-a-doping, but it was like bouncing off of her. She didn't know what to say. She was lost. And then here comes, Mr. I'm going to save her by asking about fentanyl. And he should have just turned around. It's like, no one here is a fan of fentanyl, Junior. like just hit him with something like that. No one here is a fan of fentanyl, Junior. We're talking about civil rights. Can you keep up?
Dude. Yep. And that would have been like cool points for him, right? Probably still not like great, whatever, communication, but at least, I agree with you. Like that's what he's in his mind. That's what he's trying to do. I think. I don't think he came out here to be like mean to her or whatever.
No. But he was trying. Look, you can't talk to these people. All right, you can't talk to the legislators that know better than you. Like when she said common sense. And he was like, well, who common sense? Yes, because I am, and gives her credentials. Heifer, you're a representative. That's what you are. You're a representative. You don't dictate common sense because you don't know what you're talking about. And she proves it as she stumbles around as if English is her third language. And he could have handled it better, but I think I'm assuming, if he's a decent dude, it was just an opportunity. If he's not, and he's just someone that talks over people, then he comes off as a bully, especially in the uniform. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially nowadays in the uniform. I think you got to be like, it's sorry, but whatever. You got to be like worried about your PR or whatever, right?
Well, her something appeal to authority was that she's an ACLU, and she teaches youth programs. And his appeal to I'm law enforcement. And I do know firearms save lives at almost 100-to-1 rate as they take lives with murders, or 1,000-to-1, depends on what you want to use it. 250,000 number, or the 2.5 million number that people save their lives with a firearm. He had that, but again, you just wanted to get in points of clubbing this baby seal, and you missed.
Now, I'll also say, like, I've been in not this circumstance, but I've been around enough that, like, in the heat of it, unless you're really good with this, like, you're really comfortable, familiar with it, or whatever, like, experienced with it, it escalates. Like, your stress goes up or whatever. Like, you don't de-stress when you're having a conversation with somebody who hates your opinions and doesn't like your property, might not like you, and you're trying to have, like, a back and forth or even a slap fight or whatever, right? Like you're trying to whatever and you start losing or you're not winning. You know what I mean? Like very few people like get calmer and figure it out. Like most people spin out, and that's what's about to happen. Here.
I'm just wondering because the end all is get rid of guns, people don't die. Is fentanyl still killing people in Minnesota?
What the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck, guy? That's why I brought this on, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like it was a good example of bad communication. And then this is a good example of like, shut the fuck up, camera guy. I don't know who you are.
Just wondering. Because it's illegal. Because it's illegal. The government, we don't get.
Because it's illegal.
And out fentanyl. Is fentanyl killing people in Minnesota? See, this is where you need to count it.
See, and then they're just mean to her.
And this is why I jumped off of this, because it served no purpose. And of course, she ran away.
I don't know why you would even. I mean, I'm glad Crump posted it. Hold on. I'm glad that. Let me close this already. We're done. I'm glad that Crump posted it, but I don't understand why the hell whoever actually posted it. Like, did the guy in the camera think that was cool or something? Or obviously she didn't post it, so it must have been the guy in the camera. I don't know.
Well,
I just thought
again,
that's interesting.
it was people talking at a lady, and look, I get it. If you get a chance to bash the crap out of one of these people, fine. But you didn't really make yourself look good. And I understand the frustration because I've tried to have open and honest conversations with douchebags that want to take your rights away from you, and they don't care what you think or how you feel, and they feel they're superior to you because they know what common sense is, even though they can't name anything, even though the statistics they prove up when you put yours up against it, going, these are the number of lives saved by firearm. They had nothing. They ignore it. And when you try to point out that it's useful and that the number of deaths from mass shootings, because this is what you're talking about. You're talking about school shootings are less than half of 1% of violent deaths, firearms related deaths in this country. I'm like, so you really want to pass rules based on the half of a percentage or less of
Well,
deaths?
and the fact that that is unreasonable, like that they can't see that their futility. Like if it was as simple as remove the bad thing and bad people will stop being bad. We know that that's not the case. So there's no reason to mock them with that bullshit. But understanding that if it was that easy, we would have done that. So when you talk to them about that statistic, right, you don't just leave it there, but then you go, now think about this. Like, why are you trying to remove guns from all of these people when there are other solutions, there are other routes to take? And why would your organization insist on going after this giant bite of the, not even a bite of the apple, removing the apple when there's like, the solution is some sort of a bite of the, I don't know if bite of the apple doesn't really work, but you know what I mean? Like the solution is some amount of work in a direction, but they're insisting that it has to be all or nothing. Like, doesn't just the concept of like, are you rational? Do you understand that your people, the people that you're wearing their shirt, they've been doing this for a number of years. They're run by a billionaire who puts millions of dollars into this. If he cared about this to the extent that money could solve it, he would put enough money into it to buy all our guns. That would be an interesting thought experiment. How much do all our guns cost? And could Bloomberg just buy them if he hated them so much and dump them in the ocean in a show of fuck you to gun owners? But okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not happening. So if their insistence on all or nothing is where they draw the line as a rational person who wants to just see fewer deaths, why is there like a complete resistance, not just a complete resistance, but like a complete inability to even consider it's heresy to consider any other option other than abstinence from knowledge of guns and removal of all guns from society? Two goals that are unrealistic and have such resistance from so many people that you would think that at some point you would at least alter your tactics to make your goal achievable. So I would think just appeal to the rational side, if they have one at all. If you could actually have a conversation with somebody that isn't just all heated, in like at a rally or some shit. Like if you're just having a real conversation with them, like, why do they insist on that? Like our tactics change constantly, like all the time. Like their tactics, except for when they change the name of the organization or like refund because handguns are too popular, let's go after rifles. Anyway, I got to get going. I just noticed that the time you had a hard stop. Your hard stop changed, but now my hard stop is coming up.
Yeah, but I found a new place that changed from Peruvian food or to also added Hawaiian food to the menu. I think or it's Portuguese barbecue or something it was, and now it's now they added a Hawaiian menu, so I'm going to go check them out. I was there earlier today, and I took a picture of the menu, and I'm like, what am I going to have? So,
I bet you it's going to have pineapple and Spam in it somewhere.
No, I think I'm going to have the Loco Moco. You heard of that, right? Pretty much it's this Hawaiian version of Salisbury steak with 2 eggs on it and rice.
No, like what was that?
It's
What
pretty
was it? I think my one place where I had the van worked on had a Hawaiian place across the street. So I spent like a good chunk of the afternoon like figuring out what on the menu looked good. And then whenever I went to go over there, like it was closed already. So that was about as close as I got to eating Hawaiian food. I was gonna say I figured it was all spam though, because they like spam so much.
No, they actually have spam musubi, which is, the seaweed wrap, rice, spam, and seaweed. They have that, which is fine, but I ain't that into that. It's $3.99 for one or $7.49 for two. And they got pork Hawaiian, they got short ribs, they got pork belly Hawaiian barbecue. So I'm gonna do because I cooked myself the loco moco, which is like again their Salisbury steak with the gravy over it and rice. And in Hawaii they use macaroni salad. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm gonna try them out, take some pictures, do some video. You know, be that fat guy. Yeah, there's a Portuguese grill, and I guess I don't know if somebody new came on or what, but that's pretty cool. So that's what I'm gonna go do since I don't have a podcast tonight with those guys. I might get my stuff together, clear some stuff out, and test. I got two cordless microphones that I'm gonna use a shot. Bluetooth mics so I can mic people up and you won't have as much background noise. You know what I mean? Uh, that I have to overcome when I'm using my phone to record. I'm going to clear some space on here so I have plenty to record and also set up my other things so I can watch at least a couple movies on the plane because my flights are direct, but it's still like 6 hours at the airport if you take getting there early and everything else into account. So yeah, I got stuff to do because I'm flying out next weekend?
Yeah, that totally snuck up
Shots.
on me too. Yeah, it's pretty quick. We actually didn't talk much about it, but we'll be hanging out. Like I guess the next show is at Shot Show or something. So I don't know whenever we
Pretty
get
much.
there, but yeah.
All right,
So I
dude.
guess the
It
next
was
couple
great.
of weeks will
Oh,
be goofy.
yeah, it is going to be weird. And immediately followed by Great American Outdoor Show. Oh,
Ah,
today I got in my airborne. So I'm going to start taking those this week just so I have more, even if it's psychological. I feel that I have more vitamins and the ability to fight off shot show cooties.
I didn't think about that. I got a kind of a crunchy lungs lately, so yeah, I'm not going in as healthy as I would like, but we'll see what happens on
Yeah,
the other
man.
end.
So go ahead and take whatever home remedies you can to even again psychologically make you
Yeah, for me,
feel
it's
that
like
you're in
fresh
better.
fruits and vegetables, like get good food in me before I go. But yeah, and then
Yep.
like, the airborne things are like essentially like uh they're natural, right? Aren't they like herbs and shit
Yeah, I
that
mean it's
people take? It's like a
yeah,
mix though.
vitamin
What
C
people
and
take.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's a mix. It's mixed. So I'm putting all that together. Sometimes I stopped at the CVS after I got out of the airport right there. Like when you pull out of the airport and come down and get onto the strip, I have them stop at CVS and I grab some chewable airborns and just pack them with me along with the stuff my what do you call it, ibuprofen and acetaminophen. It's like shot show drugs: acetaminophen, ibuprofen, airborne chewables, hand sanitizer, and drink lots of water. Oh, you want to do a quick elevator speech? Or the second is for everyone diversity shoot.
Yeah, take it for the rest of the show. Take some time and do that.
Cool. I'll just go ahead and do like 90 seconds. So the second is for everyone diversity shoot starts its 11th year this year, February. We've already got dates. We've already sold tickets too. The second is for everyone diversity shoot guns for higher range and to Lakewood. I look forward to being there. And what we do is we introduce people to firearms. We introduce them to Second Amendment advocacy organizations. We shoot guns. We have pizza at the range, and we answer their questions about firearms related topics like how do you get a carry permit in New Jersey? What's the process you go through to get a firearms ID card? And any other questions they have, including the organization called U.S. Law Shield for their quote unquote self-defense insurance. So we do all of that at diversity shoots to help people out. And if people say, why do you promote U.S. Law Shield? Because in New Jersey, they banned every other organization like that. And U.S. Law Shield is the only one we have. And U.S. Law Shield is the ability to actually have a lawyer on your side if you have to use your firearm in armed self-defense or even a knife in self-defense. And also as a member, you get to talk to a lawyer anytime during regular business hours. And of course, you have 24 hours access to one if you have to use a firearm in an emergency. So Second is for Everyone Diversity Shoot, diversityshoot.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at SimonSaysTrain, on Twitter at Second for Everyone with the numbers, and on Facebook as the Second is for Everyone, and also Tony Simon. So if you want to find us, great. Really appreciate it. You can donate. We have PayPal. We have Patreon, and we also have Venmo and Cash App. So if you want to help us out, really do appreciate it, because we're going into a new year and doing a lot of things. We're already booked for SHOT Show. We got the Airbnb and we got the flight, but I'm also at 2A Fest in Florida outside of Orlando in February. I'm going to be there. I'm also going to be at the Great American Outdoor Show in February. So we're going to be really busy kicking the year off. And if you want to help fund it so we can actually get out there and talk to companies and get funding, and also be a part of the Second Amendment community and actually motivate and educate others that are advocates, we do that too. So thanks a lot. Really appreciate you guys listening to me babble every week and give me an outlet to talk about firearms and talk to you guys in the chats. Really appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Right on. Thanks, everybody.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.